Chapter 9-10. The birth of the floor master required a certain interval of time, and the floor master of the 17th floor was a very special floor master. The room where the floor master was located happened to block the entrance to the 18th floor. Originally, this could also be regarded as a test and boundary to the 18th floor. But there was a town on the 18th floor, and it was a town that was particularly good at extorting adventurers. In order to get more guests and earn more money, the floor master blocking the entrance to the 18th floor was a bit of an eyesore. Therefore, once the floor master of the 17th floor, Goliath, was not defeated for a long time, the adventurers in the town on the 18th floor would form their own team and annihilate Goliath. Because of this, it was not a simple thing to meet Goliath. At least, Noah had never met Goliath except for the time when he came with Loki's family. Now the appearance of Goliath just allowed Noah to test a new discovery of his power. Woo 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 woo. Accompanied by a roar like crying, the pitch-black giant rushed in the direction of Noah, like a heavy mountain under the shaking of the earth. However, Noah ignored Goliath, who was charging at him in a violent manner. Instead, he closed his eyes and immersed his consciousness into his body. In the depths of Noah's body, a dark hole like a black hole slowly rotated, constantly absorbing the newly generated magic power from Noah's body and storing it inside. That was Noah's magic power source. After this period of storage, the magic power stored in this magic power source was equivalent to nearly 1,000 times that of Noah before he got the magic power source. One had to know that Noah's magic power was boundless to begin with. Under such circumstances, it increased nearly 1,000 times. This level of magic power could only be described as terrifying. If he continued to accumulate like this, Noah would get endless magic power sooner or later. Even now, it was more or less possible to call it infinite. Looking at the magic power source in his body that stored a terrifying amount of magic power, Noah's mind moved. Buzz. Suddenly, the pitch-black, hole-like mana source trembled violently, and the astonishing amount of mana stored within suddenly transformed into another kind of power at an even more astonishing rate. When Noah received Hestia's favor, the god's blood that Hestia had dripped into Noah's body had secreted a trace of power, which was then absorbed by the mana source. Noah's mana source seemed to have the ability to absorb the foreign energy that entered his body, remember it, and convert the stored mana into that power at will. Noah called this power divine power. At this moment, under Noah's urging, Noah's mana source that stored mana transformed into a divine power source that stored divine power. Then Noah abruptly opened his eyes. Bang! Like a golden flame, divine power burst out of Noah's body and turned into a wave of air that covered Noah's whole body. Immediately, in Noah's mind, the outline of the stone plate that was connected to the 10 patterns, and the pattern of an indomitable giant lit up. Giant that covers the sky and covers the earth with his hands. I will let this divine power flow into my body. From now on, I will display the ultimate power that no one can match. When the giant incarnation's spirit of speech fluctuated in the whole cavern, the flame-like wave of air on Noah's body suddenly expanded and soared into the sky. In the midst of that soaring aura, a mirage-like giant rose from Noah's body and instantly increased several times. That giant's whole body was golden, and its height was at least 20 meters. It directly reached the ceiling of the cavern, but there was only its upper body and no part below its waist. The roar of the pitch-black giant that was charging towards Noah's direction came to an abrupt stop, and even stopped its charging figure. Its pitch-black eyes widened like those of a demon, as if the scene in front of it caused its not-so-good brain to malfunction, and it froze on the spot. Ooh! At this moment, only its upper body, which was somewhat illusory like a mirage, but was several times larger than Goliath, suddenly swung its arm. Bang 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 bang. Immediately, wherever the giant golden arm passed, the entire space was twisted into a mess. Bursts of air explosions were like bombs that exploded one after another, causing the giant arm to carry a terrifying force as it landed on the body of the pitch-black giant. Dong! The fist fell, and the terrifying power that struck the pitch-black giant's body through the golden giant's arm actually directly exploded the pitch-black giant with a muffled sound. Even the magic stone and the dropped items were twisted into pieces. Pa 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 pa. Along with it, The remaining power of the aftermath shook the ground of the cavern that seemed to be sealed in ice until it exploded inch by inch, stirring up gravel and dust that filled the entire cavern that was riddled with holes. In the next second, the illusory golden giant that maintained its posture of punching out like a mirage dissipated into the air, as if it had completed its task. Only Noah was left, looking at the hole that was riddled with holes, cracks, and pieces of Goliath's flesh and magic stone fragments in front of him. He was immediately dumbfounded. Undoubtedly, I didn't use much divine power. If converted to magic power, the divine power that Noah had just used was estimated to be the equivalent of a few shots from the magic cannon, right? However, the divine power equivalent to a few shots from the magic cannon actually allowed the giant incarnation to exert such a degree of power? As expected, Noah murmured. As expected, using divine power to use authority will increase the power by a lot. Ever since he had obtained divine power, Noah had studied the effects of this power. Then Noah found that when he used divine power, his body would naturally have two reactions. One was that when the source of magic power was converted into a source of divine power, the sacred text on Noah's back would become very hot. The other was that when the source of magic power was converted into a source of divine power, the outline of Noah's authority, that was connected to the 10 patterns on the stone plate, would tremble. Putting the first reaction aside, the second reaction had already made Noah very concerned. However, at that time Noah's authority had not yet reached the point where he could use it, so Noah did not immediately explore it. Today, after finally remembering this matter, Noah began the experiment. Everything in front of him was the result of the experiment, and this result made Noah somewhat overjoyed. Although I more or less guessed that using divine power to use authority would have some kind of effect, I didn't expect the effect to be so obvious. If he thought about it carefully, it was actually very easy to understand. Noah's authority was originally usurped from God. Although after being absorbed by Noah's tyrannical physique, this power had become Noah's personal possession, but its essence was still the power of God, and this had not changed. And divine power was also the power obtained from Hestia, a god. Then, using divine power to use authority was definitely more suitable than using magic power to use authority. Even if the gods of the two worlds are somewhat different in nature, if I use the divine power of this world to use authority, it should still be able to have a good effect. I originally thought so, but now it seems that divine power is more suitable to use the power of authority than I thought. Noah felt the massive amount of divine power flowing in the source of divine power in his body, and felt a burst of joy in his heart. I don't know if in the future I can have a power that is more suitable for authority than divine power, and make my authority even more powerful? Thinking so, Noah could not help but raise the corner of his mouth. The future is really worth looking forward to. These words had just come out of Noah's mouth when an accident happened. Rumble. All of a sudden, the ground began to shake without warning. Noah, who was not mentally prepared, almost staggered and fell to the ground. Fortunately, he reacted in time, stabilized his body, and cried out in surprise. What's going on? This question, in this floor where there was no one, naturally no one would answer Noah. However, the ground shook more and more violently. Chapter 9:11. Rumble. In just a few seconds, the ground shook so violently that the surrounding walls began to scatter dust, and some places even began to crack. Noah, who was kneeling on the ground with one knee, could only try his best to maintain stability. Feeling the ground shaking more and more violently, his heart was more or less bewildered. At this time, Noah could not help but think of something that everyone in this world knew. The underground city was alive. At this time, the underground city's shaking suddenly stopped as if it had stopped. Kacha! Such a sound rang from the ground in front of the wall that just collapsed and gave birth to Goliath. That was the sound of the ground suddenly cracking open a huge gully. Kacha kacha. In the next moment, with the cracked gully as the center, the ground began to protrude, as if something was drilling inside, pushing away a large number of rocks and emerging from there. Seeing this scene, Noah's eyes focused. Because Noah clearly saw it. In the protruding ground, in the small hill that was buried by rocks and soil, a pair of pitch-black eyes suddenly lit up. Rumble. The ground once again produced an extremely violent vibration, as if the entire 17th floor was trembling, constantly emitting wails. And in this process, in front of the protruding ground became higher and higher, and the rocks and soil that were pushed away also became more and more. When it reached the peak, it was like a collapsed snow mountain, crashing to the ground, setting off thick smoke and dust. Then, the huge monster that drilled out of the ground and was buried by rocks and soil finally revealed its entire body. Its entire body was pitch black like sewage. It had a human-like body outline. Its height was more than 10 meters. Its skin was even darker. Its devil-like eyes flashed with a ferocious scarlet light. That was the floor master named Goliath. However, the depth of its skin was even darker than Goliath's, and its body was almost 2 or 3 times larger, causing this huge alien to emit a terrifying aura. Woo 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 woo. The roar that sounded like crying was like a substantial shockwave that exploded and shook the surroundings. Looking at this scene, Noah's face gradually darkened. It was impossible for him not to have doubts in his heart. Moreover, there were a lot of them. For example, why would a floor master, who was just killed and should have taken 1 or 2 months to be reborn, suddenly appear? For example, why was this Goliath so obviously different from the Goliath he usually met? However, that was something that needed to be considered later. That was because the ferocious pitch-black giant would not give Noah much time to consider. Lowering its head, the pitch-black giant's eyes suddenly shifted to Noah, who was kneeling on one knee on the ground. A ferocious glint flashed in its eyes as it slowly opened its mouth. Almost at the same time, Noah's outstanding senses gave him a warning. Without any hesitation, Noah was like a crouching cheetah. He spun around and shot up, dodging to the side. Boom! The pitch-black Goliath, who opened its mouth in the direction of Noah, suddenly made a sound like a cannonball. Immediately, a shockwave that could not be seen by the naked eye was like a real cannonball. It burst out, cut through the air, and instantly fell on the position where Noah was previously. Boom! The ground that was hit by the impact cannonball, that could not be captured by the naked eye, exploded without any suspense, stirring up gravel, and the aftermath of the energy that blew in all directions. Seeing this, Noah, who dodged, was speechless. Now I can be sure that it is definitely not an ordinary Goliath. After all, an ordinary Goliath would never release such a long-range attack. In addition, the breath of the pitch-black Goliath was also stronger than the breath of the ordinary Goliath. It should not only have the attack that the ordinary Goliath did not have, but also the strength that the ordinary Goliath did not have, right? At least, Noah felt that this pitch-black Goliath was definitely not only LV4. In terms of level classification, a conservative estimate is that it should have reached LV5. After coming to such a conclusion, Noah's eyes were cold. Unfortunately, it is only LV5. After the words, Noah's figure stagnated, and then like a gust of wind, he rushed forward quickly. Woo 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 woo. The pitch-black Goliath suddenly roared in the direction of Noah, who was rushing toward him. Boom! With the sound of the cannonball, the shockwave that could not be captured by the naked eye was like an invisible cannonball. It shot in front of Noah almost in the blink of an eye. The powerful pressure carried by the impact cannonball caused the surrounding air to vibrate slightly. If it was another person, even if it was LV5 like the pitch-black Goliath, it would be extremely troublesome for this invisible attack. Unfortunately, the attack that could not be captured by the naked eye was basically no different from a visible attack for Noah, who had the sensing ability. So Noah clenched his fist, and a bright vortex of air fluctuated on his fist. Under Noah's waving, it fiercely blasted toward the incoming impact cannonball. Boom! With a loud explosion, the invisible impact cannonball was blown up by Noah's annihilation blow, and turned into a gust of wind, brushing past Noah's body and blowing around. However, the space in front of Noah suddenly shook, and a fist like a boulder rubbed against the air, carrying a violent airflow, and blasted in front of Noah's eyes. In the face of this punch, Noah's figure swayed strangely, like a leaf blown away by the wind, and directly dodged the pitch-black Goliath's fist. Boom! The huge fist fell on the ground, and once again, the ground was blown up, and a small crater was created. Buzz! At this moment Noah, who had dodged to the side of the pitch-black Goliath's fist, suddenly fluctuated with a golden ripple, and a variety of relics popped out, shooting out like lightning. Puff puff puff. The extremely sharp relics fell directly on the pitch-black Goliath's head, and with a tearing sound, they pierced through the muscles on Goliath's face. However, they only pierced halfway, and were stuck, unable to go any further. Woo 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 woo. The pitch-black Goliath roared angrily, and suddenly waved its huge palm, slapping toward Noah. Noah only felt that the whole world seemed to have darkened, and he immediately retreated. Boom! The huge palm slammed on the ground, causing the ground to shake, and cracks spread out. The skin is quite hard, even an E-grade relic can't penetrate it. Noah stared at the pitch-black Goliath. In the golden ripples around him, a variety of relics, such as sabers, swords, spears, halberds, and other relics, emerged again. Then let's try a D-grade relic. As soon as he finished speaking, the sharp relic immediately turned into a stream of light, shooting out like a laser. Woo 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 woo. The pitch-black Goliath roared angrily, and this was the last sound that it made. With a little arc trajectory, the relic shot up, and with the pitch-black Goliath's huge body, it was impossible for it to avoid. Puff 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 puff. Therefore the D-grade relic rain fell on the pitch-black Goliath's body, piercing through its body, and the pitch-black Goliath's body was full of holes. The pitch-black Goliath suddenly froze on the spot. Boom. After a while, the body of the floor master, whose level was enough to be classified as LV5, turned into a burst of ashes all over the sky. It burst open and scattered around, leaving only a huge magic stone and a piece of curtain-like skin that disappeared. A LV5 Goliath? The golden ripples behind him began to shrink. Noah looked at the huge magic stone and the curtain-like skin, and he frowned deeply. What the hell is going on? After pondering for a while, Noah could not figure out the reason, and he could only helplessly shake his head. I'll ask Hestia when I go back. Chapter 9:12. It took a little more time. Noah, who had successively defeated a LV4 floor master and a LV5 floor master, did not stay in the dungeon. Instead, he first went to the safety floor on the 18th floor to check the situation. After confirming that the 18th floor was not affected by the abnormality on the 17th floor, he returned to the 11th floor. It seems that only the 17th floor should be affected. The rest of the floors did not even have the slightest vibration. On the 11th floor, which was filled with thick white fog, Noah could not help but worry as he moved toward the entrance to the 10th floor. I hope that at that time, there were no other abnormalities on the 17th floor, and that the adventurers exploring the 17th floor were not affected. Although he did not know why the 17th floor had such an abnormality, if the problem was with Noah and the rest of the innocent adventurers were affected, then Noah would definitely not be able to sleep well. After all, the abnormality on the 17th floor only happened after Noah used his divine power and defeated the LV4 Goliath in one blow. Noah had reason to believe that the abnormality was with him. Is it the problem with the divine power? Or is it the problem with authority? Noah was puzzled. It should not be the problem with authority. In the dungeon, Noah had used authority several times before. At that time, there was no problem. Then, the problem today should not be with authority. Then, is it the problem with the divine power? Noah thought to himself. Could it be that the god of this world has something to do with the dungeon? He could not figure it out. Noah's brain was not bad. However, he had only been in this world for about 2 months. There were many things that Noah had not come into contact with. In the case of insufficient information, no matter how good Noah's brain was, he could not figure out why. It's more reliable to go back and ask Hestia. In the end, Noah could only come to this conclusion helplessly. He quickened his pace and continued to walk forward in the thick fog. Just like that, Noah paid attention to the other floors to see if there were any problems as he made his way to the ground. He didn't have the time to deal with the monsters he encountered along the way, so he avoided them and arrived on the 7th floor. As soon as he entered the 7th floor, Noah heard an angry shout. "Why are you dawdling over there? Hurry up and catch up." The overly violent scolding made Noah unconsciously turn his eyes to the source. Then Noah saw it. Two people were walking towards them from a passageway at the side. It was a combination of a man and a woman. The man was an adventurer who wore leather armor and had a large sword on his back. He had a fierce look in his eyes. The woman was carrying a backpack that was several times larger than her body. She was wearing a white robe and seemed to be a support. She was a very petite young girl. Noah could vaguely see a few strands of chestnut-colored hair under the hood of the petite young girl's white robe. At that moment, Noah raised his eyebrows and stopped in his tracks. Because there was still a certain distance between them, the male adventurer and the female support did not notice Noah. They were still walking towards Noah slowly. Of course, it was fine if they were just walking. What Noah was concerned about was what the male adventurer said. What a useless piece of trash. The male adventurer did not care about the feelings of the female support who lowered her head. He scolded her with a disdainful tone. You are just a useless piece of trash who can only be a porter. If you can't even carry a backpack, what's the use of you? Under the male adventurer's insults, the female support only lowered her head and did not say a word. Her behavior encouraged the male adventurer's arrogance. If you continue to dawdle and cause me to be unable to earn a sum of money, you won't get a single cent today, the male adventurer sneered. At least, when I am surrounded by monsters, you can be the bait, support. Noah, who was watching the scene from afar, frowned. Noah knew that most adventurers had the ugly side of looking down on professional supporters. This was because professional supporters were those who did not have the ability to do other jobs. When there was no other way, they could only be pure porters. Adventurers would indeed look down on such people. Even though they knew that support was indispensable in the dungeon, most of the adventurers didn't have this kind of awareness. It was obvious that the scene in front of them was an arrogant adventurer bullying a professional support. Moreover, the so-called professional support was someone who more or less had some ties with Noah. Could it be that the child is still doing that kind of shady business? The more he thought about it, the deeper Noah's frown became. However, Noah would not be so nosy because of a person whom he had only met once. If it was only the child who was willing to degrade himself, then Noah was in no position to care so much. With that thought in mind, Noah stopped thinking too much and walked straight over. As he walked, the sound of footsteps could be heard. The male adventurer and the female supporter finally discovered Noah. Upon seeing Noah, the female supporter's expression changed abruptly. She hurriedly lowered her head and covered her face with the hood of her robe. The male adventurer widened his eyes, and his body stiffened. After he came back to his senses, he hurriedly moved to the side to make way, and at the same time he cursed at the female support in a low voice. What are you doing? Hurry up and move aside. That's the tyrant. If you want to die, don't involve me. After the war game, there was no one in Eulalia who did not know Noah. Naturally, there was no one who did not know how terrifying Noah was. He could destroy a city with a wave of his hand. In an instant he could defeat the entire backbone of the clan tribe. He could even compete with the only LV7 in Eulalia. The gods were full of praise for this man. Even the main gods of Freya and Loki, who were known as the two kings of Eulalia, claimed that they wanted to recruit him. There was no doubt that Noah had become a popular person in the eyes of the gods and people of Eulalia. In addition, they had seen Noah's strength when facing the clan tribe of Apollo from the divine mirror. How could the LV1 low-level adventurer, who could only mess around on the 7th floor, not have a heart of fear? Bullying the weak and fearing the strong. This was what the male adventurers showed. After being scolded by the male adventurer in such a low voice, the female supporter seemed to have remembered this matter, and quickly hid to the side. She still lowered her head, and did not dare to look at Noah. Noah naturally saw this scene. However, Noah did not say anything. He just turned a blind eye and walked past under the gaze of a man and a woman. Phew! Until Noah walked past, the male adventurer and the female supporter were relieved at the same time. Is that the highest level of adventurers in Eulalia? The male adventurer licked the corner of his mouth and raised an arrogant arc. One day, I will also become such an existence and let the people of Eulalia make way in front of me. Hearing the arrogant words of the male adventurer, the female supporter just looked at the male adventurer with a gaze like looking at an insect. then immediately turned her head and looked at Noah's back that gradually left. Her eyes were quite complicated. "Don't look," the male adventurer mocked. "No matter how much you look, you won't become such an existence, Miss Porter." The female supporter bit her lips and a trace of self-mockery appeared in her eyes. "That's true. If I could become an existence like that person, how could I fall to this point? In order to get out of this predicament." The female supporter raised her head and looked at the male adventurer. To be precise, it should be said that she was looking at the big sword on the back of the male adventurer. Because of the movement of raising her head, the hood of the robe slid down from the female supporter's head, revealing a head with chestnut-colored shoulder-length hair and a young face. If Bale was here, he would definitely notice it. This young girl was the one who had stolen Bale's level 3 weapon, Miss Supporter. Laluka Erda. Chapter 9:13. The dungeon changed? In the headquarters of Hastia's clan, Noah told Hastia about what happened on the 17th floor. Hastia was startled and became suspicious. "Why did the dungeon change?" "I don't know, that's why I came back to ask you," Noah said with a wry smile. "I had just finished off the floor master, Goliath, when there was a sudden vibration on the 17th floor. Then, another Goliath appeared. Moreover, even his potential ability definitely surpassed the Goliath of level 4, and reached the level of level 5. "LV5? Hastia asked in surprise. "Really? I've never heard of such a thing before." "Really?" Noah asked. In other words, Goliath, who had never been at LV4 before, suddenly leveled up to LV5? Not only Goliath, but I've never heard of a level 5 Goliath being upgraded. After the level 5 Goliath was defeated, another level 5 Goliath appeared, Hestia said with uncertainty. "Could it be that you're mistaken? Do you think I'm mistaken about such a big thing?" Noah rolled his eyes. "Whether it's a level 4 Goliath or a level 5 Goliath, I defeated them myself. Can't I see the difference between them?" "That's true." Hestia frowned. "Then what's going on?" Seeing Hestia's frown, Noah felt that the time was right and asked the question he was most concerned about. "Is it possible that external factors caused the changes in the dungeon?" "External factors?" Hestia looked at Noah. "What do you mean?" "For example, if a condition is met, the dungeon will immediately breed a level 5 Goliath that is more powerful than the previous level 5 Goliath," Noah said. "When a condition like defeating a level 5 Goliath appears, the dungeon will be triggered and breed a new level 5 Goliath. Is it possible?" "Well," Hestia tilted her head with a troubled look on her face. "It's possible, but I've never heard of it before." "Perhaps it's not a condition?" Noah's eyes flashed. "It's also possible that there's a presence or power in the dungeon that shouldn't exist. For example, the divine power of your god." Hearing this, Hastia's expression froze. Her frown deepened. Finally, she lowered her head and muttered in a low voice. She lowered her head and said, "In that case, it's possible." "Is it possible?" Noah noticed the change in Hestia's attitude and quickly asked, "How should I put it?" "It's just like what you said," Hestia said as she looked at Noah seriously. "It's possible that a god broke into the dungeon and caused the strange changes." "Really?" Noah's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't show it on his face. "Why would a god enter the dungeon and cause the strange changes?" "Because the dungeon won't allow us gods to enter." Hestia sighed. "Perhaps you don't know, but the guild is prohibiting gods from entering the dungeon." "Prohibiting gods from entering the dungeon?" Noah frowned. "Why? Didn't I tell you? The dungeon will not allow us gods to enter," Hestia said earnestly. "It's like a repulsion reaction. The dungeon is rejecting us gods. If we enter the dungeon, we'll incur the wrath of the dungeon. The dungeon will be angry." Noah was curious. "The dungeon will be angry?" "Don't underestimate the dungeon, Noah," Hestia said solemnly to Noah. "The dungeon is alive. It can give birth to creatures called monsters and produce all kinds of resources that can't be found on the surface. This is why it repels gods like us. If gods like us enter the dungeon and incur its wrath, what's so strange about that? That means the dungeon isn't only alive, but it also has consciousness." Noah was taken aback. "It can't be, right?" Should I say it has consciousness? Or is it an instinct of the dungeon? Hestia looked conflicted as she didn't know how to explain to Noah. She shrugged her shoulders and said, "The dungeon is full of mysteries. Because there are too many unknowns in the dungeon, it attracts adventurers from all over the world to explore. Whether the dungeon's rejection of the gods is due to the dungeon's own consciousness or a pure instinct, it's up to you to find out. We, the gods, can only observe the progress of the children." Noah nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe it's just like what you said. Some stupid god broke into the dungeon and was discovered by the dungeon. That's why this happened, right?" Hestia waved her hand nonchalantly, but then she became angry again. "Fortunately, my Noah is powerful enough. A level 5 floor owner is nothing. If my Noah was injured, I'd kill the idiot who broke into the dungeon." Hearing Hestia's indignant words, Noah could only let out a hollow laugh. If the mutation was caused by the dungeon's rejection of the dungeon, then it was probably caused by Noah, not the idiot god. Perhaps because Noah used his divine power in the dungeon mistook Noah for the god of this world. That was why the mutation occurred, and the level 5 Goliath was created. It seemed that he had to think carefully before using his divine power in the dungeon. However, if he made good use of it, perhaps Noah could keep farming the level 5 Goliath on the 17th floor. Noah felt happy when he thought of this. At this moment, Hestia's eyes rolled, and she suddenly pounced on Noah, hugged him, and said expectantly, "Noah, since you came out of the dungeon, why don't you go on a date with me?" Noah didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Noah only found out recently. The goddess named Hestia was actually quite possessive. In order to make Noah happy, Hestia worked very hard. After getting rid of Hestia's entanglement, Noah walked out of the base camp of Hestia's clan to her dissatisfaction. Although Hestia was a goddess, she looked like a 14 or 15-year-old child. If you didn't look at a particularly prominent part. If you went on a date with such a goddess, those gods who wanted to see the world in chaos would be very happy to publicize some things. For example, Noah had some special hobbies. In that case, Noah would really be too ashamed to show his face. Therefore, although it would make Hestia unhappy, Noah felt that it was better to have fun at home and not go out to show off. In short, Noah didn't hate going on a date with Hestia. Thinking of the goddess's resentment, Noah couldn't help but laugh. "When I go back, I'll bring some gifts for Hestia." Muttering to himself, Noah turned into a side alley. This time, Noah didn't plan to go to the dungeon. He wanted to find a place to fill his stomach. Hestia didn't seem to expect Noah to come back so quickly, so she didn't buy Noah's lunch. Noah had to find his own food. "Let's go to the rich mistress." After saying that, Noah was just about to take a shortcut when he heard some flustered footsteps from the depths of an alley next to him. No, it wasn't one but two. Moreover, the two footsteps were getting closer to Noah. Noah curiously turned into the alley where the footsteps were coming from. Then, the figure of a petite girl who was running while hugging a heavy sword entered Noah's eyes. Seeing the petite girl, Noah couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. How could there be such a coincidence? Chapter 9:14. Looking at the petite girl who was running blindly towards him while hugging a huge sword that was completely disproportionate to her body, Noah raised his eyes slightly and looked behind the petite girl. There, a male adventurer in leather armor was glaring at the petite girl, who was running in front of him with a ruthless expression. There were even green veins popping out on his temples, and he looked extremely angry. "You damned piece of trash. Let's see where you're going to run to." The male adventurer's roar caused a look of fear to appear on the petite girl's face. However, Noah, who was in front of the petite girl, could clearly see this scene. Even though there was great fear on her face, there was still a trace of stubbornness and unyielding in the eyes of the petite girl. She hugged the huge sword tightly and gritted her teeth as she ran forward with all her might. As a result, the petite girl who had to take care of the pursuers behind her did not notice at all. At the corner in front of her, there was a person. Seeing that the petite girl was about to crash into him, Noah turned his body slightly and dodged. However, this action also caused the petite girl to notice Noah's existence. She turned her head and looked in front of her. Immediately, her eyes became flustered. In a moment of panic, The petite girl who was running forward suddenly stumbled and fell forward. Seeing this, Noah, who was turning his body to the side, squatted down and reached out a hand to catch the petite girl who was falling. He allowed her to fall on his arm, so that she would not hit the ground directly. However, the huge sword that the petite girl was hugging was thrown out, and fell to the ground with a clang. Ah! Looking at the huge sword that was thrown away, the little girl let out a cry of surprise. She couldn't help but reach for the huge sword. She didn't even notice that she had fallen into someone's arm. Noah could only helplessly say, "Are you all right?" Hearing this voice, the petite girl finally noticed Noah's existence. However, when the little girl turned around and saw Noah's full face, her pupils shrank and her expression changed completely. Facing that familiar cute face and big round eyes, Noah smiled indifferently. "Long time no see, Lily." Ah. Lily's mouth trembled slightly. She seemed to want to say something, but she also seemed to be afraid and in disbelief. She was stunned and did not respond at all. It was at this moment that the male adventurer caught up with them. "Did I catch up to you? Despicable human race." Ah. Only then did Lily react. In a panic, she ran away from Noah and sat on the ground. It seemed that Lily was more afraid of Noah than the male adventurer. That was only natural. Compared to an unknown adventurer, Noah's reputation was undoubtedly the loudest in all of Eulalie. The two were not on the same level at all. If she had to choose who she was more afraid of, it would naturally be Noah. Of course, the reason why Lily was so afraid of Noah was because she had previously stolen the level 3 weapon that Noah had given to Baal. Lily should be afraid of being pursued by Noah, right? Little did he know that the reason why Lily was able to successfully steal Baal's weapon was mostly because Noah had no intention of stopping her. If Noah had really wanted to stop Lily, no matter how good she was at stealing, she would not have been able to steal from Noah. The male adventurer who caught up from behind also noticed Noah, and the violent look on his face turned into shock. It's you again?" In the morning, Noah had met the male adventurer and Lily on the 7th level of the underground city. So now that they met again here, both the male adventurers and Lily were very surprised. Naturally, Noah also felt that it was too much of a coincidence. But since Noah had met them, it would not be strange for him to ask a few questions, right? Noah glanced at Lily, who was paralyzed on the ground and looking at him with a frightened expression. He then glanced at the male adventurer, patted his knee, and stood up. "What are you guys doing?" His words woke Lily and the male adventurer up from their stupor. This despicable human stole my sword." The male adventurer hurriedly pointed at Lily. "I'm here to retrieve my sword." As expected, in the morning, when they had met on the 7th level of the underground city, the male adventurer had been carrying a large sword on his back. But now, the large sword had fallen into Lily's hands. In addition to Lily's previous record and the chase just now, Noah had already guessed the gist of it. At that moment, Noah frowned and looked at Lily. "Are you still doing this kind of thing?" Originally, Noah thought that Lily might be in need of money, so he let Lily steal Baal's weapon. With Lily's status, even if she was in need of money, a weapon worth 7 or 800,000 Varus should be able to solve the problem. Thinking that if he helped Lily solve this problem, Lily would not steal anymore, so Noah let Lily go. But in the end, this young lady was still a thief? Did she have her difficulties? Or did she really give up on herself? Seeing Noah frown, Lily was even more afraid, and her body shrank into a ball. The male adventurer probably thought that Noah was a comrade on his side, and he was overjoyed all of a sudden. That's right. A useless porter actually dares to steal from us adventurers. You deserve to die. The male adventurer pulled Noah to his side and laughed angrily at Lily, who was sitting on the ground. "You piece of trash, see if I don't teach you a lesson." Just as the male adventurer was about to walk towards Lily, a large sword was suddenly thrown into the air towards the direction of the male adventurer. Before the male adventurer could react, the large sword crashed into his arms, causing him to catch it in a hurry. He stared blankly at Noah, who threw the sword to him. "The sword is yours, right?" Noah said calmly. "Take it with you." The male adventurer pointed at Lily with uncertainty. "But this little human." "What? Noah looked at the male adventurer with a smile that did not seem like a smile. Do you think that I will watch you commit violence? But look, she's a thief and a useless porter, the male adventurer said with a forced smile. A piece of trash like her actually dares to steal from us great adventurers. If we don't teach her a lesson, won't anyone be able to bully us? Hearing this, Noah laughed. His laughter was somewhat sarcastic. Walking forward, Noah looked at the stiff-faced male adventurer up close. He extended a hand and pointed at the male adventurer's chest. Since you can bully others, why can't others bully you? The male adventurer's face began to twitch. If you bully the weak here, then can those who are stronger than you bully you too? Noah pushed the male adventurer away. If you can't even figure out such a problem and think highly of yourself here, I advise you to stop being an adventurer. Otherwise, you'll only be able to do so for the rest of your life, Mr. Great Adventurer. The male adventurer's face immediately turned red, and his expression became distorted. However, he couldn't say a word to refute, let alone refute Noah. Damn it. The male adventurer could only glare at Lily resentfully. Consider yourself lucky. After saying that, the male adventurer left with a face full of misfortune. After the male adventurer left, Noah glanced at Lily, who was sitting on the ground, paralyzed. As you can see, most adventurers are like this. If you don't want to encounter the same thing again, I advise you to stop. Lily bit her lips tightly, and her delicate body trembled. She lowered her head, but her voice was unyielding. You speak as if you are not an adventurer. Although this voice was very soft, Noah still heard it. And from Lily's voice, Noah could hear a tinge of hatred. It seems that you are more troublesome than I thought. Noah crossed his arms and looked at Lily. Then let's have a chat. Chapter 9:15. Chat. Perhaps Lily felt that she couldn't escape even if she wanted to, so she went all out and taunted. I'm sorry, Lily has nothing to talk about with the adventurer. From Lily's voice, Noah did hear a kind of unapproachable meaning. Obviously, Lily didn't have any good impression of the so-called adventurers, and she hated them. However, that was also natural. As a professional support, Lily must have been humiliated by those unruly adventurers more than once like today. So Lily hated adventurers. How was it strange? Your words sound like those women who hold the idea that no man is good, right? Noah curled his lips. Just because of the existence of that kind of trash, you think there's no good adventurer in this world? No choice, at least. Lily has never touched such a person, so Lily hates adventurers the most. Lily sneered and said self-deprecatingly. Anyway, Lily is such a person. Not only does she have no ability, she can only be reduced to being a support. Furthermore, she has always been stealing other people's things. Even Lily herself hates this kind of Lily. The famous tyrant naturally wouldn't like someone like Lily. Are you going to be stubborn this time? Noah looked down at Lily, who was sitting on the ground, and asked such a question. Since you know that it's annoying to steal other people's things, but you still do that kind of thing knowingly. Are you so short of money? Yes, Lily is short of money, and I'm short of a lot of money. Lily met Noah's gaze and looked over. So Lily has already sold the level 3 weapon produced by Hephaestus's clan. Even if you teach Lily a lesson, Lily won't be able to return it. Hearing this, Noah didn't speak anymore. He just looked directly at Lily's big round eyes as if he wanted to see through everything about Lily. His deep eyes almost made Lily have a feeling that she would be sucked in. Under such a direct gaze, Lily couldn't help but feel a little timid. She subconsciously lowered her head and looked away. After a long time, Noah withdrew his gaze and turned around. I see. Since that's the case, you can wait for me at the central square tomorrow morning. Lily was suddenly stunned. Central Plaza? Why? Is it strange? Noah said without turning his head. Don't you usually look for adventurers to team up with? Hearing this, Lily was a little unable to react. Indeed, Lily usually looked for adventurers and begged them to team up with her. But that wasn't really looking for teammates, but looking for prey. In order to collect the money she needed, Lily had been using this method to explore the dungeon with the adventurers who had formed temporary teams. Then she would look for opportunities to steal their valuables. It was a tried and tested method. Hence, to Lily, The adventurers who teamed up with her were not her teammates, but her prey. It was also because of this that Lily couldn't react to Noah's words. This was because Lily didn't know what Noah meant by that. Noah didn't know if he had expected Lily's reaction, but he smiled with his back facing Lily. "Aren't you short of money? Then come and be my supporter." Be your supporter? Lily, who hadn't reacted yet, was bewildered by this sudden declaration. Think about it. Noah didn't give Lily time to react and threw this sentence at her. "Tomorrow, gather at the fountain in the central plaza. If I don't see you when I arrive, take it that you're not coming. I won't wait for you." After saying that, Noah waved his hand and went straight into the alley next to him. Lily was left alone as she stared blankly in the direction that Noah had left. Her expression was extremely uncertain. The next day, Noah got up when Hestia was still sleeping. After changing his clothes, he went out directly. At this time, the sun had just risen, but there were many pedestrians on the street outside. Most of them were adventurers who were ready to go. They were all walking towards the dungeon of Babel. Noah blended into the crowd with ease. While the pedestrians around him were pointing and gossiping, he moved in the direction of the central square. Baal got up earlier than Noah. Therefore, Baal had already set off for the dungeon. Noah was about an hour later than Baal, which showed how hard Baal worked. Now Noah had really become famous. Being famous had its advantages and disadvantages. The advantage was that when Noah walked on the street, the people around him would make way for him. They wouldn't crowd together with Noah. The disadvantage was that the people around him were talking about him and pointing at him. Fortunately, Noah had long been used to people's gazes, so he didn't stop and went all the way to the central plaza without any obstacles. At the intersection of the 8 streets that connected to Ololai in all directions, there was a fountain in front of the Tower of Babel. That was the fountain closest to the Tower of Babel. As soon as he arrived at the central plaza, Noah glanced at the fountain and saw it. In front of the fountain, there was a very petite girl of the dwarf clan. She was carrying a huge backpack and had her head down. Nobody knew what she was thinking. Seeing this, Noah stopped, shrugged his shoulders and walked towards the fountain. Obviously, the girl of the dwarf clan was not really paying attention to the surroundings. Even with her head down, she still noticed Noah's approach and looked at him. When they met for the first time, although Lily had bad intentions, at least she put on a good front. Her cute face would have a bright smile from time to time. However, at this moment, Lily's cute face was no longer as cheerful as when they first met. Instead, it was cold and vigilant. In the past, it was Lily's acting skill to put on a cheerful and lively appearance in front of others. On the other hand, Noah already knew most of Lily's background and knew clearly what this young lady was doing on a daily basis. Lily didn't have to put on a show anymore. She didn't hesitate to show her dislike and vigilance towards adventurers. Unfortunately, Noah turned a blind eye to it. He brushed past Lily and walked toward the Tower of Babel. "Since you are ready, let's go." Lily stared at Noah's back and followed him silently. While following him, she spoke in a low voice. As she walked, she whispered, "Now can you tell Lily what Lord Noah is going to do?" "Do you even need to ask?" Noah answered without hesitation. "Of course, it's to enter the dungeon." "Is that so?" Lily's voice wasn't relaxed at all. Instead, it had a tinge of sarcasm. Could it be that Lord Noah really only intends to team up with Lily? What else? "What do you think I'm going to do to you?" Noah kept walking forward with a calm look on his face. "If I had intended to do something to you, I would have done it yesterday. I wouldn't have needed to lure you into the dungeon. Aren't you aware of that? That's why you're here today, isn't it?" Sherlock said as he shook his head. "Does that mean Lord Noah only wants to explore the dungeon with Lily?" Lily's tone was rather unpleasant. "Do you think Lily will believe you? If you don't believe me, you can leave now. I won't stop you," Noah said calmly. "I'm only giving you a chance. It's up to you whether you want to seize it or not." "Chance?" Lily frowned. "What chance?" "A chance for you to achieve your goal and turn over a new leaf," Noah said. As fellow sufferers who have similar stories, we can empathize with each other. Lily was at a loss for words. At this time, Noah changed the topic. "What's the deepest floor that you've been to?" Lily was silent for a while. After a while, she gave up and spoke. Lily followed a team and reached level 11. Level 11. Noah smiled suddenly. Let's go to level 17 today. Chapter 9:16. Roar, 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 roar. On the 17th floor of the dungeon, in one of the passageways, a group of monsters with grayish-black fur, flames in their mouths, and crimson eyes that looked like hellhounds roared angrily. They rushed out of the passageway in groups and pounced forward. Swish, 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 swish. In front of the pack of hellhounds, a figure stood motionless. Golden ripples fluctuated in the surrounding space, and sharp weapons popped out one after another. The sharp weapons turned into streams of light and shot out like arrows, piercing through the air with a sharp sound. Poochie, poochie, poochie. Every time the sharp weapons that turned into streaks of light streaked across the space and shot out from the golden ripples with a sharp piercing sound, shrouding the group of hellhounds that were constantly surging over, the continuous sound of flesh being penetrated would resound. The extremely sharp weapons accurately pierced through the heads of the hellhounds, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Under such circumstances, the bodies of the hellhounds that were pierced through turned into ashes and scattered in all directions, causing the magic stones and dropped items in their bodies to fall to the ground. Precision. Incomparable precision. The seemingly endless rain of weapons pierced through the heads of the hellhounds without missing a beat. Not only did they achieve the effect of killing the hellhounds, but they also didn't damage the magic stones and dropped items in their bodies. It was truly miraculous. But even so, the group of hellhounds didn't show any signs of confusion or hesitation as they continued to pounce forward, trampling on the path of their fallen companions and charging forward relentlessly. If the dungeon monsters didn't turn into ashes when they were killed, leaving only magic stones and dropped items, the hellhounds wouldn't be trampling on the path of their fallen companions. Instead, they would be trampling on their companions' corpses. Undoubtedly, the hellhounds would die if they took a step forward, but they continued to charge and attack their enemies without any hesitation. They looked extremely crazy. This was also what Noah wanted. At the very least, Noah did not need to worry about the monsters suddenly running away. He only needed to stand in place and keep the gate of Babylon open. That way, he would be able to continuously kill the monsters. Over time, under Noah's frighteningly high killing frequency and luck, the magic stones and dropped items from the hellhounds piled up like sand on the ground in front of him. Normally, when Noah killed a hellhound and dropped magic stones and items, the Gate of Babylon would treat these items as Noah's and automatically recycle them. However, this time, Noah blocked the automatic recovery function of the Gate of Babylon, causing the dropped items to pile up all over the ground. Of course, it wasn't because Noah didn't want them, but because he wanted to let the other reinforcements collect them. About 5 minutes later, the Hellhound army was completely annihilated, leaving behind only a ground full of magic stones, teeth, claws, and other dropped items. Looking at the magic stones and dropped items piled up on the ground, Lily, who was behind Noah, was speechless. This was definitely the first time in Lily's life that she had seen such an efficient way of killing enemies. This was already not an efficiency that could be achieved by a single person. To put it bluntly, unless there was a large team of hundreds or even thousands of people, and all of them had to be at least LV2 adventurers, otherwise, it was impossible to achieve the same efficiency. With this kind of efficiency to earn magic stones, why worry about not being able to make a lot of money? What made Lily even more shocked was the number of dropped items. The number of dropped items was almost the same as the number of magic stones, which told Lily that the items that should have been obtained when one was lucky in the past would be dropped by almost every monster on Noah's body. If this level of magic stones and dropped items were to be exchanged for money in the guild's exchange center, the amount of money that could be exchanged would be quite terrifying, if not astronomical, right? Lily didn't know how to react to this at all, and could only stand there for a long time without responding. On the other hand, Noah himself seemed to be the most normal person in front of him. He leaned against the wall, hugged his arms, closed his eyes, and started to take a nap. Pack up the dropped items, then continue. Yes, Lily stammered in response, but her expression was still as stiff as ever. But Lord Noah, I don't know if Lily's backpack can hold so many items. Then pack up the items in front of you first, Noah said without even opening his eyes. This is the 17th floor, and the safety floor of the 18th floor is just below. If your backpack is full, you can just sell it there at a low price. It was indeed a low price. After all, in order to make a profit, those guys who bought magic stones and dropped items in the town on the 18th floor would lower the price to the minimum. However, in the case that the adventurers' backpacks were full, they could only choose to sell it there. Otherwise, even if it was more cost-effective to sell it on the surface, considering the time it would take to return to the surface, it would be better to sell it at a low price on the 18th floor. Hence, under normal circumstances, when the adventurers came to a floor that required a lot of time to travel, they would only have two choices after their backpacks were full. Either they would waste a lot of time and sell the magic stones on the surface, or they would sell it at a low price on the 18th floor, and use the time to continue earning magic stones. When comparing the two options, the latter would usually earn more in the end. Even if the adventurers felt the pinch, they could only choose to sell it on the 18th floor. This was the motive of those scammers in the town on the 18th floor. They purposely set the price so that if they sold it at a low price on the surface, they would earn more in the end. When the adventurers compared the two options, they could only choose to sell it at a low price on the 18th floor. This way they could earn a lot of money. In the past, Noah had the Gate of Babylon to recycle items, so he didn't need to go to the 18th floor to be scammed. But now, because of Lily's matter, Noah didn't care. Anyway, Noah didn't lack the money. Seeing that Noah was leaning against the wall and had no intention of interfering, Lily could only go forward with a complicated expression and pick up the magic stones and dropped items one by one. Dungeon 18th floor. Under Noah's lead, Lily came to a town that was almost entirely made of wood. She came to the exchange shop that sold magic stones and dropped items. This price is too unreasonable. If I were to bring it to the surface, these magic stones and dropped items could be exchanged for at least double the price. Isn't this considered a scam? In a building that was painted with pictures of Minotaurus and blue and purple crystals, the signboard was much more gorgeous than the surrounding shops. Lily stared at the shop owner in disbelief, only to receive a snort of disdain from the shop owner. If you don't like it, you can go to another shop. Lily's face was red with anger. That was natural. Which seller wouldn't be angered to death by a purchase price that was more than half the original price? However, it was impossible to continue exploring the dungeon with magic stones and dropped items that couldn't be stored. Moreover, it took a long time to return to the surface. If one didn't want to earn too little from the time spent on the road, they could only sell it here. It was because of this that these guys were so arrogant. It's unbelievable. In the end, Lily, who could only choose to sell her magic stones and dropped items in this shop, walked out with an ashen face and a flustered look. That's why Lily hates adventurers. Every one of them is so greedy. I really don't want to be compared to these guys who only know how to rip people off. Noah sighed. All right, buy some time and continue exploring. Yes, Lily could only agree gloomily. Chapter 9:17. Just like that, Noah and Lily ran back and forth between the 17th and 18th levels for the entire day. Whenever Lily's backpack was filled with magic stones and dropped items, Noah and Lily would return to the town on the 18th level to clear the magic stones and dropped items. Whenever Lily's backpack was cleared of magic stones and dropped items, Noah and Lily would return to the 17th level to continue their efficient massacre. Under such circumstances, Noah and Lily had gone back and forth between the 17th and 18th levels more than a dozen times. When they estimated that it was almost dark outside, Noah and Lily brought their backpack full of magic stones and dropped items to the guild's exchange shop to sell them. Then, they took the receipt from the 18th level and went to the shop owner who sold the magic stones and dropped items cheaply to collect the money. It should be mentioned here that in the 18th floor of the town, all transactions were conducted by bartering, or by setting up a voucher. This was because no one would bring so many gold coins while exploring the dungeon. Therefore, unless it was a small transaction that could be transacted on the spot, like the transaction that Noah bought a map on the 18th floor last time, otherwise, Once the transaction amount was relatively large, most of the transactions would be in the form of a written agreement. For example, if an adventurer bought an expensive item in the town on the 18th level, the shop owner would leave the adventurer's name and clan tribe coat of arms as collateral, and let the adventurer write a written receipt before handing the item over to the buyer. When the shop owner returned to the surface from the 18th level, he would take the written receipt to the customer's clan tribe to collect the money. If the item was sold to the residents of the 18th level, it would be the exact opposite. The shop owner would write a written receipt and let the customer collect the money from his clan tribe. Noah and Lily had sold a large amount of magic stones and dropped items on the 18th level, so naturally, it was not a transaction that could be carried out on the spot. Therefore, when Noah and Lily returned from the dungeon, they had the written receipt from the shop owner, who had bought their magic stones and dropped items. After returning to the surface, they immediately went to the other party's clan tribe to collect the money. Thus, after a whole day of hard work, the two of them reaped an astonishing harvest. At least, after receiving the money and coming out of the base camp, Lily was stunned when she saw the two big money bags full of gold coins in her arms. She didn't react for quite a while. In the end, Lily could only murmur in her sleep, 1,280,000 Varus. 1,280,000 Varus. This was Noah's and Lily's harvest after a day. You're lying, right? Lily tightly hugged the big purse full of gold coins. She was in a trance. He can earn so much in just one day. If it weren't for those guys on the 18th floor, it would have been even more. Noah glanced at the dazed Lily and shook his head. If you think it's not real, you can go and bite it when you get home to confirm it. Half of it is yours. Lily finally reacted. She turned to look at Noah and asked with uncertainty, half of it is mine. Lord Noah, do you really intend to give half to Lily? Why? Noah shrugged. If you think it's too little, then I'll take a little less. Originally, Noah had spent an entire day running back and forth between the 17th and 18th floors because of Lily. Although he didn't know what difficulties Lily had, it was certain that this child was in need of money. Ever since he obtained the Gate of Babylon, Noah had become richer than anyone else. In addition, even if the gold and silver treasures in the Gate of Babylon were used up, the treasure vault would treat them as consumables and automatically replenish them. No matter how much Noah used them, he would never be able to use up all the treasures in there. In this way, Noah would no longer have any monetary problems. Therefore, Noah could actually directly help Lily solve her monetary problems. However, if he were to use such a method to help Lily, who was extremely disgusted with adventurers, it would definitely hurt her little bit of self-esteem. It would make Lily think that Noah, the highest level adventurer who could compete with Orly's only LV7, was pitying her. In order to prevent Lily from having such thoughts, Noah chose to use such a strenuous method to help Lily. Of course, for today's harvest, Noah actually didn't want to take it. He just felt that if he didn't take it, it would be no different from directly giving money to Lily. It was very likely that it would make Lily take it too hard, which was why he wanted to help Lily in the form of a disguised form of dividends. In any case, Lily didn't know that Noah had a Gate of Babylon that could automatically recycle items, and would never be full no matter how many items were stored in it. Then there was nothing wrong with letting Lily receive the bonus as a supporter, right? The facts proved that Noah's idea was indeed correct. Is Lord Noah pitying Lily? Lily lowered her head, and her voice was more or less filled with a trace of malice. What did Lily do to deserve so much bonus? Why not? Noah said indifferently. We formed a team to enter the dungeon today. According to the team rules, isn't it normal to split the loot equally? But Lily is only a porter. At most, I'm only picking up items. It's all because of Lord Noah's hard work that I have such a huge harvest. Lily hugged the money bag tightly, and her voice started to have obvious emotions. If it were other adventurers, not to mention splitting the loot, wouldn't it be possible for them to monopolize the loot? Upon hearing that, Noah suddenly laughed. You said it yourself. It's other adventurers. Lily choked. Was Noah rebutting Lily's previous thoughts? None of the adventurers in that world were good people. All in all, we'll split today's harvest in half. You can take 640,000 Varus. Noah made such a decision without any hesitation. I only want to know if you're still short of money? Lily was silent for a while before speaking with a complicated expression. I think it's still not enough? Is it? Noah shrugged his shoulders. If that's the case, tomorrow at the same time, let's gather in front of the fountain in the central plaza. After saying that, Noah took a purse from Lily's arms and slung it over his shoulder. He then waved his hand and walked in another direction. Looking at Noah's back view, Lily hugged the money bag tightly, and her gaze became more and more complicated. Undoubtedly, he's a tyrant. Why is he so gentle to Lily? Lily, I don't understand. Lily, who was muttering, didn't notice. In a corner not far away, a few male adventurers were hiding there. They clearly saw the money bag full of gold coins in Lily's arms. They looked at each other, and the corner of their mouth curved into a rather ferocious arc. The next day, at the same time as yesterday, Noah went straight out of the door and walked in the direction of the central plaza. The surrounding people were still pointing at Noah and gossiping about him as usual. Under the awe and curiosity of almost everyone on the street, Noah walked into the central plaza, as if it had nothing to do with him, and came to the front of the fountain. To Noah's surprise, Lily wasn't waiting here today. What's the matter? Noah frowned. Did that child give up? As soon as this sentence fell, a cheerful voice sounded behind Noah. Sir Noah is really rude. How could Lily leave the team without Sir Noah's consent? Hearing this cheerful voice, Noah turned his head and looked behind him. He immediately saw the petite girl carrying a big backpack. Today, the indifference and vigilance on Lily's face disappeared. Just like the first time they met, there was a sunflower-like smile on her face. Good morning, Sir Noah. I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting. Looking at the cheerful smile on Lily's face, Noah's eyes flickered. Chapter 9:18. Noah narrowed his eyes and said straightforwardly when he saw Lily smiling as cheerfully and adorably as when they met for the first time. What happened? What do you mean what happened? Lily tilted her head with a puzzled look. What happened to Lily? Noah didn't say anything and just stared at Lily. When they met for the first time, Lily was also as cheerful and cute as she was now. However, at that time, Lily was simply acting cheerful and cute. There wasn't even a trace of innocence in her eyes. Instead, there was an extremely deep malice hidden in them. Lily today was the same as at that time. She was acting the same on the surface, but her heart wasn't as lively and cheerful as she looked on the surface. If he still couldn't determine what happened to Lily that led to such an attitude, then Noah should go home, wash up and sleep. However, Lily clearly didn't intend to explain, nor did she intend to open her heart to Noah. By the way, Sir Noah, Lily wants to apologize to you here. Saying that, Lily lowered her head to Noah. Today, can you please give Lily a day off? A day off. Noah raised his eyebrows and said with a smile that wasn't a smile. Aren't you short on money? Why don't you push away the job that can earn you at least a few 100,000 Varus a day? That can't be helped. Lily's smile didn't diminish. Although Lily feels very pained, today is the monthly gathering of Lily's clan tribe. If Lily is absent, it will cause a lot of trouble. Gathering? Noah asked. What gathering? Rather than calling it a gathering, it's better to call it a press conference for the mission. Lily touched her head. Simply put, it's a notice that requires the people in the clan tribe to earn a certain amount of money every month and hand it in. So everyone has to be present. The so-called clan tribe was originally established in exchange for the power called favor to pay for the chief god's food, drink, and entertainment. Although there were chief gods like Hestia and Loki who valued and loved the members of the clan tribe as their own family and children, it didn't mean that the other gods were like this. Even Loki had to make the members of the clan tribe hand in the harvest of the clan tribe activities regularly for the operating expenses of the clan tribe. Since it belonged to a clan tribe, it was natural to collect funds from the income of the clan tribe members. Could it be that Lily was so short of money because of the clan tribe? Everyone has to hand in the set amount of money? Noah said without batting an eyelid. Then people who don't have the ability to earn money will have a hard time? Yeah, Lily said jokingly. Especially for a supporter like Lily, That's even more needless to say. Lily, who had been talking to Noah as if she was pretending from the beginning, only when she said this sentence did her tone finally carry the same emotion as yesterday. It was an emotion called hatred and disgust. Noah, who clearly noticed this, withdrew his gaze from Lily and said indifferently, "In that case, let's forget about it today." "Thank you very much, Lord Noah." Lily bowed her head again and expressed her gratitude to Noah. Then, she smiled as brightly as a sunflower and said to Noah, "Thank you for your help. I hope that tomorrow, Lord Noah can continue to employ Lily. If that's the case, Lily will be very happy." Leaving this sentence, Lily turned around and walked in the direction of one of the streets. Moreover, her footsteps seemed to be a little hurried. It was not until this moment that the faint smile on Noah's face disappeared bit by bit. He glanced at the bushes at the side. Rustle. In the direction of Noah's line of sight, the bushes swayed a few times and made a sound. Not long after, from the inside of the thicket, several blurry black shadows appeared from behind the trees that were used as cover and left in another direction. Seeing this, Noah's expression more or less carried a hint of coldness. "It seems that things are much more complicated than I thought." When the sun rose to the highest point and announced the arrival of noon, in the northernmost part of Orly, in front of a building located on the side of a road that was a little remote from the main street, Noah came here. Looking up, Noah cast his gaze at the building in front of him. It was a long and large mansion. The area of the mansion was not large, but the scale was quite magnificent. As for why, this mansion seemed to want to expand, but because of the narrow area, it couldn't do so. As a result, it couldn't extend to the side, but could only develop upward, so several towers were built together like a forest of spears, forming a mountain-like building. From Noah's direction, it was very clear. Behind the gate of the strange building that occupied a narrow area but was unusually tall, there was only a small courtyard with a few plants and flower beds. In the center of the tower-like buildings, the top part of the tallest tower was dyed with the color of dusk, like a mansion carved by flames. Looking at the strange building, Noah blinked. This is the headquarters of the Loki's clan? Noah hasn't been here before. Therefore, Noah only knew that the headquarters of the Loki's clan, one of the two kings of Orly, was here. Now that he saw it, Noah was even more certain that this was the headquarters of the Loki's clan. Because, except for a god with a strange temperament like Loki, no one would want to build a building like this. Immediately, Noah walked in the direction of the gate. Next to the gate, there were two guards. When one of the guards saw Noah coming directly here, he immediately raised the spear in his hand and pointed it in the direction of Noah. "Stop." As soon as he shouted, the other guard fiercely pulled his companion and scolded in a low voice. "Are you crazy? Look at who that guy is." Huh. The guard saw Noah's appearance clearly, and his eyes widened. Tyrant. Ignoring the nervous look of the two guards, Noah stepped forward and said, "Can you help me call Loki out?" Hearing Noah's words, the two guards became even more nervous. Loki, you. What do you want to do?" It was no wonder that the two guards were so nervous. Originally, there were many factional problems between the clan and the clan, which made the clan of the gods wary of each other under normal circumstances. Now, not long ago, Noah had single-handedly taken care of a god of Apollo. Now Noah, who was at the peak of his power in Eulalia's world, directly stated that he wanted to meet the god of Apollo's god of Apollo. "I have something to ask of your clan's god." Noah shrugged. "If it's convenient, you can help me pass the message." If it had been someone else, the two guards would have probably beaten them up. But Noah was extremely popular among the gods, and even the two clan gods of Loki and Freya's clan wanted to recruit him. This was something that everyone in Eulalia knew. The two guards looked at each other, and then one of them nodded and said to Noah, "Let's go." Noah said to him, "Please wait here for a moment." Noah naturally had no objection and nodded in agreement. The two guards breathed a sigh of relief and let one of them enter the door to pass the message. After some time, there was a commotion at the door. When the door was opened, a figure flew out from the door and pounced on Noah. "Little guy, you finally changed your mind. Are you going to leave that poor little shorty? I'm so touched. Shouting such a sentence, the divine creature named Loki directly pounced on Noah. In the face of Loki's fierce pounce, Noah just calmly turned around. Loki suddenly missed and fell to the ground. Bang! After a loud noise, Loki's face hit the ground heavily. Loki howled in pain, covered his red nose, and rolled on the ground. Chapter 9:19. Nose. Nose. Lying on the ground, Loki rolled on the ground while covering his nose. There were tears in his eyes, and he looked like he was in so much pain that he wanted to die. As expected of the tyrant, he actually dodged it. No, it was so obvious. I think most people would be able to dodge it. Noah sighed as he couldn't bear to look directly at Loki, who was rolling on the ground with half-closed eyes. Okay, stop fooling around. Get up quickly. Oh, so cold. Loki reluctantly got up from the ground. Sure enough, now is the time to be arrogant. Can't you be delicate? Noah's face twitched. I really want to give this guy a good beating. Oh, little brother is really here. Welcome to our base camp, little brother. With these two voices, another group of people walked out of the gate of the Loki's base camp. The two Amazon sisters, Tiona and Tiona, were leading the group with a smile on their faces as they greeted Noah. Behind the Amazon sisters, Finn, Riveria, Gareth, and Rufia followed. Even the werewolf, Bert, smacked his lips when he saw Noah and looked unhappy. At the back of these people, there was a beautiful girl with dazzling waist-length hair. A pair of clear eyes stared at Noah. Her delicate and pretty face was still the same as before, without any expression on her face. At this point, all the senior members of the Loki's clan, one of the two kings of Eulalie, were present. Even Loki was present. The scene was quite spectacular. Long time no see. As the leader, Finn stepped forward and said to Noah with a look of surprise. Although I knew that you would sooner or later amaze the world, I didn't expect that in just over a month, you have already made such a big name in Eulalie. It's really surprising. We watched the entire battle between you and Apollo's minions. It was truly amazing. Riveria also seemed to be a little emotional. That spell that destroyed an entire city in an instant was really powerful. If it was me, I wouldn't be able to reach that level yet. Even so, I'm still sitting on the seat of Eulalie's strongest archmage. It's really embarrassing. It's not just magic. His battle prowess is also amazing. Gareth laughed. You can even go head-to-head with Eulalie's ultimate weapon. To be honest, even I want to duel with you. As soon as they met, the three leaders of Loki's clan gave a great evaluation of Noah. However, no one present found it strange. After all, during the war game, Noah's performance was seen by everyone in Eulalia. Even the gods praised Noah. As a person from the lower realm, who could make a negative criticism of Noah's performance? Not to mention Finn, Riveria, and Gareth, even Tiona, Tyagni, and Leafia were all excitedly and emotionally evaluating Noah. Although Aze didn't say anything, her pair of eyes that were staring at Noah had already revealed her feelings in her heart. Only Bert put his hands in his pockets with a look of disdain. What's there to be surprised about? It's just taking care of a random clan that didn't even have a LV for member. Everyone present was used to Bert's rude remarks, so almost no one paid attention to Bert. This made the displeasure on Bert's face more intense, but he didn't say anything. He turned his head away with an unruly look. By the way, Riveria also said that you little guy seem to be able to use innate magic that doesn't require a specific bloodline. Anyone can learn it, right? Loki also put his hands in his pockets and looked at Noah. His squinted eyes opened slightly. Could it be that the magic that destroyed the city is also the kind of innate magic that anyone can learn? Loki's profound words made all the higher-ups of Loki's clan turn their eyes to Noah. Obviously, they were also very concerned about this issue. Especially Aze, who looked at Noah with some expectation in her eyes. In this regard, Noah just curled his lips. Sorry, that's not innate magic. The only magic I can teach people is the crush. Hearing Noah's answer, many people secretly breathed a sigh of relief, including Loki. If the kind of magic that made the gods feel threatened was like the crush magic, a kind of innate magic that could be learned by anyone, Just thinking about it made people feel uneasy. At least, Loki absolutely didn't want to see the streets full of people learn that kind of magic. Unfortunately, Loki didn't know that it wasn't magic. It was the same level of divine power as the gods, called authority. Naturally, it was impossible for anyone to learn it. Only A's, whose eyes began to look a little dejected. It was obvious that this girl was interested in the so-called magic that could destroy a city in an instant. If it could be learned, A's definitely wouldn't mind asking Noah for advice, right? Okay, little guy. Loki said to Noah with a sloppy attitude. You didn't come all the way here just to chat with us, did you? Oh, Noah said with a smile. Didn't you just think that I was going to leave Hestia's clan and come to you? If you were so easy to poach, that love-struck fool wouldn't have hit the wall like that. And Apollo wouldn't have disintegrated his entire clan because of you. Loki tilted his head and looked straight at Noah with a pair of eyes that were hidden under his narrowed eyelids. What? Do you need something from me? Yes. Noah didn't hide it anymore and said directly. I want to ask you something about Sumo's clan. Sumo's clan, led by Finn, a group of high-ranking members of Loki's clan looked at each other. Noah's clan? Loki was slightly startled and looked at Noah with some suspicion. You just got rid of Apollo's clan, and this time, another Sumo's clan has offended you? It's best if that's the case. That way, things will be easier to solve. Noah sighed. I just recently met a child in Sumo's clan, and was a little concerned about some of the actions of that child. As far as Noah knew, there was no high-end combat power in Sumo's clan, not even a LV3. The entire clan was composed of LV1 and LV2 members. However, although the members of this clan did not have high-end combat power, the number of members was quite large. So in terms of power, it could be regarded as the backbone of the entire Uriley clan. To put it bluntly, in terms of the overall strength of the clan, Sumo's clan was above Apollo's clan. Why would such a clan allow a member to do such a thing of theft? In other words, Lily's actions really had something to do with Sumo's family clan? This was what Noah wanted to know. Unfortunately, Hestia, who had not been in the lower realm for long, did not know much about Sumo's clan. That was why Noah came here, intending to inquire from Loki. After hearing Noah's words, Loki raised his eyebrows. You have dealings with the people in Sumo's clan? Loki said. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Noah was startled. What do you mean? Loki crossed his arms and closed his eyes. After pondering for a while, he immediately dropped his shoulders as if he had given up. Forget it. I'm not familiar with Sumo anyway, so there's no need to help him hide the secret of his clan. If you want to know, it's okay to tell you. The secret of the clan tribe? Noah narrowed his eyes and nodded. Tell me. Let's go in first. Loki walked directly in the direction of his base camp. It's not very convenient to talk here. Noah naturally did not have any objections. Together with the higher-ups of Loki's clan, he followed behind Loki and walked into the base camp of Loki's clan. AIC, who was walking next to Noah, suddenly spoke softly. Congratulations, you've won Apollo's spawn. Hearing this, Noah smiled. Chapter 9:20. Under Loki's lead, Noah entered a reception room that directly faced the corridor of the mansion. It was a vast room with an expensive-looking sofa, and a round table covered with a tablecloth. The surrounding decorations were filled with a high-class feeling. At first glance, rather than saying that this was a reception room, it would be better to say that it was a lounge used by the members of the clan when they were having a leisurely chat. The evidence was that after AIC and the others entered the room, each of them naturally found a seat and sat down. By the way, the three leaders of Loki's clan, Finn, Riveria, and Gareth, seemed to have put down their work to greet Noah when they heard that Noah was visiting. Now the three leaders had left and went back to do their own work. In addition to Finn, Riveria, and Gareth, Bert suddenly disappeared halfway and did not even leave behind an explanation. It seemed that he did not want to continue staying with Noah. Therefore, other than Noah, only AIC, Rafia, Tiona, and Tioni followed Loki to the reception room. After sitting down at Loki's invitation, Rafia made a cup of black tea and placed it in front of Noah. Please have some tea. Thank you. Noah smiled at Rafia. As a result, Rafia's pretty face turned red and she pulled away from Noah in a panic. She hid beside Tiona and Tioni and behind AIC, which made Noah quite puzzled and made Tiona and Tioni snicker. Oh. Loki also snickered. It seems that our Lord Tyrant's smile is quite lethal to young girls in their prime. It's not like that. Rafia protested loudly, but was ignored by everyone present. Forget about the teasing. Hurry up and tell me about Sumo's clan. Noah took a sip of black tea and looked at Loki. You just said that it's not a good thing to have dealings with the people in that clan, right? What does it mean? The meaning is very simple. Loki directly crossed his legs on the sofa without any arrogance and said very casually. Because the people in that clan tribe are all very dangerous. Danger? Noah frowned. Don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me clearly. Well, don't be so impatient. Before that, you have to know what kind of person the main god in the clan is. Loki shrugged. What kind of god do you think the main god in Sumo's clan, that is Suemo himself, is? What kind of god? Noah scratched his cheek. I heard that he seems to be a very solitary god. He never attends any public places and only hides in the headquarters of the clan tribe to manage the clan tribe. This was something that anyone who was slightly well-informed would know. Noah also got the information from hearsay. However, this news should be correct. As for why, Hestia once said that she almost forgot that there was such a person among the gods. His presence was pitifully faint. Solitary? Loki curled his lips. If you want to talk about being eccentric, that guy is indeed very eccentric. But little guy, there's one thing you're wrong about. That guy only hides in the base camp of the family clan, and is not managing the family clan. Or rather, from the beginning, Suemo never thought of managing the family clan. Right? Huh. Noah was puzzled. From the beginning he never thought about managing the clan tribe. Among the gods, this is something that almost everyone knows. Only your little shorty who hasn't been in the lower realm for long doesn't know. Loki snorted softly. I'll just say it directly. That god Suemo doesn't have his own clan tribe in his head at all. He only has his own interests. At this point, Loki mentioned it to Noah, intentionally or unintentionally. You should have heard that in addition to exploring the underground city, Sumo's clan tribe also has some commercial nature. When Loki mentioned it, Noah also remembered. Are you referring to wine? Yes, wine. The most famous thing about Sumo's clan tribe is that they sell wine, and it's very good wine. When it came to wine, Loki's mood was a little high. That silly god's biggest interest is brewing wine, or rather, that's his only interest. The reason why he established the clan tribe was to let the children help him earn the money needed to brew wine. The problem lies in this wine. Loki spread his hands. You probably don't know, right? The wine of Sumo's clan tribe, circulating in the market, is just a failure. A failure? Noah was stunned. Although he had never drunk that wine, if the wine of Sumo's clan tribe was so famous, it proved that the wine's taste must be extraordinary. And that was just a failure? It's hard to believe, isn't it? I found it hard to believe at first. Loki seemed to recall the taste, and could not help but lick his lips. Only those who have really tasted the wine will know how magical the taste of the wine called a failure is. Even the taste of the failure is so beautiful, the taste of the finished product can be imagined. Although I haven't drunk it, I have heard some of my friends say that wine, I mean the wine of the finished product, we all call it the divine wine. If you drink it, you will be drunk. Loki opened a pair of narrowed eyes, and a bright light flashed from those wise eyes. It's not the kind of drunkenness that makes you drunk, but the kind of drunkenness that intoxicates you from the bottom of your heart. It's like taking drugs, it's addictive. Hearing this, Noah's eyes suddenly narrowed. Could it be? It seems that you've almost understood, Loki said, speechless. That's right, almost all of the clan tribe of that silly god have tasted the divine wine. His people don't worship Suemo, the main god, but the wine he brewed. That guy is a real pervert. He only used the development of materials, blending, and production to make the divine wine, without using the power of God at all. making the divine wine with human hands. That's something that only people with mysterious abilities can do, which is the so-called miracle. Loki's tone carried a little awe. In the end, Sumo made the miraculous wine in the state of an ordinary person that only mysterious abilities can make. If that's not perverted, then what is? That kind of thing, it doesn't matter. Noah's brows were deeply furrowed. Sumo actually used that wine, which is no different from drugs, for the people of the clan tribe to use? There's something wrong with your statement. No, it should be said that my previous expression was a little wrong, Loki explained. Although it can make people drunk at best, it's just wine. It can't be called a drug. Although it can bring people unimaginable pleasure, there's no harm in it. After a period of time, they will naturally wake up, just like how drunk people will eventually wake up. High-level adventurers can greatly increase their resistance to that kind of intoxication, so it's very difficult for people of LV2 and above to get drunk. It's also because of this that the fool took out the divine wine in order to satisfy his own interests and let the members under him earn money. Loki's tone was a little unhappy. In order to increase the enthusiasm of the members of the clan tribe to earn money, that fool took out the divine wine as a prize. As long as they earned more than a certain amount of operating expenses set by the clan tribe, they would be able to drink a small mouthful of the divine wine. As for the consequences, it goes without saying, right? Noah was immediately speechless. Even the four girls, Tiona, Tyagni and Rafaya, began to tremble. What were the consequences? Did it even need to be said? After tasting the divine wine, the members of Sumo's clan tribe, who were captured by the divine wine, would want to taste it again no matter what. And because only those who earned more than a certain amount of operating expenses could receive the divine wine as a reward, it naturally turned these people into people who crazily pursued money like gamblers. You have dealings with the people of Sumo's clan tribe, right? Loki looked straight at Noah. Then you have to be careful. Otherwise, even if it's you, you'll be pestered by those crazy people. Noah fell silent. Did that child also want to get money for this purpose? Chapter 921. Chirp, 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 chirp. Amidst the melodious chirping of birds, the dark sky was slowly dyed white. Flocks of birds flew past the towering Tower of Babel, filling the air with the freshness of the morning. Passing through the familiar West Street, Noah walked into the central square, and immediately looked at the fountain in front of him. Heavily armed adventurers and supporters carrying huge backpacks passed by the entrance of the towering Tower of Babel. None of them stayed for long and walked straight to the entrance of the towering Tower of Babel. However, Noah did not see the petite figure carrying a huge backpack that was completely disproportionate to her body size. Today, Noah did not come early or late. Just like the day before yesterday, he left at the same time and arrived at the central square at the same time. Logically speaking, Lily should have already arrived. Undoubtedly, she said she would come yesterday, but she was still not here today. In other words, in the 3 days since he decided to team up with Lily, except for the first day, Lily did not meet at the fountain according to the agreed time yesterday and today. If it was the first day, Noah might have thought that Lily had given up the opportunity he gave her. But now, Noah did not have such thoughts. He walked directly to the fountain, and stood quietly at the spot where Lily had been waiting for him on the first day. Around them, the adventurers were intimidated by Noah's tyrant reputation. Although they frequently turned their gazes to Noah's side, they were still whispering and pointing at him. However, no one chose to step forward and cast awe and curiosity in Noah's direction. In this regard, Noah just turned a blind eye as usual and quietly waited for the arrival of the dwarf girl. It was not until almost half an hour later that a shocked voice entered Noah's ears. Lord Noah? Hearing this voice, Noah opened his eyes and turned his head to the side. There, the little human girl with a huge backpack on her back was staring at Noah with her eyes wide open, filled with shock and confusion. Why? Noah raised his eyebrows. What, why? Why is Lord Noah still waiting here? Lily reacted, and the smile on her face began to become a little stubborn. Didn't Lord Noah say that if Lily wasn't here when you came, Lord Noah wouldn't wait for Lily? Indeed. 3 days ago, Noah had met Lily, who had stolen a male adventurer's great sword in an alley, and was being chased by the male adventurer. He had saved Lily from the male adventurer, and made an agreement with Lily to form a team. Noah had said that if Lily wasn't here when he came, he wouldn't wait any longer. However, at that time, Noah only wanted to give Lily a chance, an opportunity to achieve his goal. Because Lily was also a person with a story. As long as he spent a little time and effort, he would be able to give a young girl a new lease of life. Noah didn't mind wasting this insignificant period of time. But if Lily didn't come at that time and gave up the opportunity, Noah wouldn't force it. After all, it was Lily's choice. But it was different now. Back then, we were only considered as people who had met once or twice. Because you seem to be a person with a story and difficulties, I chose to give you a chance. If you didn't seize the opportunity, I wouldn't continue to interfere. Noah said as if it was a matter of fact. And now I've fully involved your matter. So it isn't my style to not do it to the end. Fully involved Lily's matter? Lily's eyes glinted, but the forced smile on her face was still there. Lily doesn't quite understand Lord Noah's words. What do you mean? Noah didn't answer. He only smiled and said such a sentence. Compared to that, Lily, don't you have anything to say about being late? I'm sorry. Lily fell silent for a moment and lowered her head. Lily is late. And? Noah asked unyieldingly. What's the reason for being late? Today, Lord Noah feels very unyielding. Lily's smile began to be tinged with a trace of anxiety. Lily was only delayed by the matters of the clan tribe. Didn't Lily apologize to Lord Noah here? But, rather than an apology, I want to know the specific reason. Noah looked into Lily's eyes. Or did you not think of a reason at all? You were deliberately late, hoping that I would leave and give up on continuing to team up with you? The bright sunflower-like smile on Lily's face froze on her face. Even her tone became stubborn. Lord Noah, what are you talking about? How could Lily deliberately give up the opportunity to make a lot of money with Lord Noah? Make a lot of money. Noah suddenly laughed. The amount of money we've earned is really not much, is it? Lord Noah, what kind of joke is this? Lily could not help but laugh. Earning millions of Varus in a day, this kind of harvest is not much? Then what is considered a lot? No matter how much it is, it's only the two of us who are earning. It can't be compared to those who are really making a lot of money. Noah shrugged. For example, the wine that your Sumo's clan tribe is selling, I heard that it's only a bottle, and the market price is at least 60,000 Varus. Moreover, that wine seems to be a failed product. If you sell the finished product, then you'll really make a lot of money, right? The smile on Lily's face had gradually faded, and it was replaced by an unconcealable heaviness. She lowered her head and said so. Lord Noah knows a lot. He even knows that the wine sold in the market is a failed product. I just heard about it from a friend. Noah did not seem to notice Lily's abnormality. He crossed his arms and said so with a smile. Lily wants to make a lot of money? Then why don't we also sell wine? Lord Noah is joking again. Lily smiled unnaturally. Even if it's a failure, that wine is still a high-quality wine circulated in the market using a portion of the main god Sumo's wine. Even if Lily and Lord Noah really went to sell wine, they wouldn't be able to make better wine than that. They wouldn't be able to make much money at all. Hearing Lily's words, Noah just smiled indifferently. That's not necessarily true. Lily was stunned by his words. Ignoring Lily's gaze, Noah stretched out a hand. Buzz. With a slight tremor, a golden ripple fluctuated above Noah's outstretched hand, spitting out a pure gold bottle, which fell into Noah's hand. It was a very strange bottle. Undoubtedly, it was a bottle made of pure gold, but the bottle was transparent all over, allowing people to clearly see the scarlet liquid swaying in the bottle. This is... Lily was a little confused. Wine. Noah didn't beat around the bush and directly explained. Although it's not the wine brewed by the Lord God of your clan tribe, this is a veritable divine wine. Divine wine. Lily had a bad premonition in her heart. Lord Noah, are you kidding me? I'm not kidding. This is indeed wine brewed by God. Noah said lightly. If I tell you about Bacchus, the god of wine in Roman mythology, you may not know what's going on. You only need to know that similar to Hephaestus, who was known as the god of forging in heaven, Bacchus was also a god of wine like Sumo. This wine was brewed by that god of wine, so it is a veritable divine wine. With such a sentence, Noah unscrewed the cap of the pure gold, but incredibly transparent wine bottle. Pop! With the clear sound of the bottle opening, in the next moment, a fragrance that could be seen directly with the naked eye spread out from the pure gold wine bottle. It was a sweet wine fragrance that was completely different from the aroma of other wines. When they smelled this wine, many people in the central square stopped in their tracks and turned their gazes over. Chapter 9:22. When the sweet aroma of the wine spread throughout the central square, the surrounding adventurers and supporters who were aiming for the dungeon of the Tower of Babel all stopped in their tracks subconsciously. Their faces were more or less flushed. Some people were already drunk just by smelling the aroma of the wine. Of course, it did not mean that they were drunk, but as Loki said, they were intoxicated. Unlike the surrounding people who revealed intoxicated expressions, Lily's face turned ghastly pale the moment she smelled the aroma of the wine. Lily had only smelled a wine with such an intoxicating aroma from one kind of wine. That was the divine wine brewed by the Lord God in Sumo's clan, with a miraculous production method that was similar to the mysterious development ability of humans. Although the taste of the wine was different, the inconceivable power that could intoxicate one's heart in an instant was completely carved from the same mold. Therefore, when she smelled the intoxicating aroma of the wine, Lily did not become intoxicated like the people around her. Instead, she began to slowly retreat, and her pretty face kept turning pale. At this moment, Lily no longer doubted Noah's words. There was no doubt that the bottle of wine in Noah's hand was not inferior to the divine wine made by Sumo in terms of quality, taste, and wonder. This is the wine made by Bacchus, the god of wine in Roman mythology. Therefore, that god is also known as the god of wine. It was as if Noah didn't see Lily's reaction at all. His empty hand reached into the golden ripples that had yet to disappear, and he took out a wine glass made of pure gold. He then poured the wine that was filled with an intoxicating aroma into the glass. Legend has it that the wine brewed by the god of wine Bacchus has a strange effect of intoxicating people. Just a small sip will make people feel as if they are in heaven. I haven't tasted Sumo's divine wine, but I can guarantee that this wine will never lose to that divine wine, even if it is a finished product. As soon as he finished speaking, Noah placed the wine glass filled with red wine in front of Lily. His deep eyes stared intently at her pale face. You should have tasted Sumo's divine wine. Why don't you have a drink too? Let's see if the divine wine brewed by the god of wine is better than Sumo's divine wine. Is it worth selling? What do you think? At this moment, it was as if time had stopped, and Lily felt that even her heart had stopped beating. Smelling the dizzying aroma of the wine and staring at the enchanted wine with its beautiful color, Lily only felt that she was sinking into a bottomless abyss. No. No. That feeling of sinking into depravity made Lily finally unable to hold it in any longer. No. I won't drink. Amid the hysterical screams, Lily almost subconsciously swung her hand and slapped the wine glass in front of her. Slap. After a crisp sound, the wine cup in Noah's hand, which was made of pure gold and had an intoxicating aroma, was directly slapped away by Lily. It smashed to the ground, spilling the beautiful wine all over the floor. The wine cup also rolled to the ground. Ha! Ha! It was only then that Lily seemed to have escaped from a nightmare. Her body went soft, and she sat on the ground, panting with a dazed expression. From the beginning to the end, Noah didn't interfere with Lily's actions, nor did he care about the priceless grape wine and wine goblets that were sent flying by Lily. He merely stared at Lily, who was slumped on the ground, and said word by word, "Don't worry about it." Are you afraid? Are you afraid of the divine wine? Or are you afraid of everything that the divine wine will bring to you? Lily's lips trembled. She raised her head, and there was an expression on her pale face as if she was about to cry. She choked out, "Lily doesn't want to drink this wine anymore. I really don't want to." Lily's reaction made Noah understand one thing. At the very least, Lily didn't steal and rob to raise money for the so-called divine wine. In other words, Lily not only had no interest in the crazy divine wine of Sumo's clan, but she also had a fear of it. Noah was not wrong. Lily was afraid. She was afraid that as long as she came into contact with the aroma of the divine wine, she would be manipulated by the magic of the divine wine, like a beast, and become a slave to money and madness. Loki said that although Sumo's divine wine had the effect of intoxicating people, it was still just wine after all. Even if one was drunk sooner or later, they would still wake up. However, with Sumo treating the divine wine as a prize, if the people of his clan became crazy after tasting the divine wine and desperately tried to raise money, and then continued to drink the divine wine that could confuse people's hearts, they would continue to be captured by the divine wine and become slaves to money. As a result, they would naturally fall into an absolute loop, and there would be no way to get out of it for the rest of their lives. There were only two kinds of people who could get rid of the charm of the divine wine. One was the high-level adventurer who had successfully risen to LV2 and could greatly resist the magic brought about by the divine wine. The other was the person who could not earn enough money and could not get the divine wine as a prize. Over time, as the effects of the divine wine passed, they would wake up. Lily once confessed that she did not have the talent to be an adventurer. Because of her lack of ability, she finally chose to become a professional supporter. Then Lily was very likely the latter. Undoubtedly, you have already gotten rid of the magic of the divine wine, so why are you still raising money at all costs? Noah half knelt and looked directly into Lily's eyes. Why don't you tell me the reason? Lily. Because of the divine wine, Lily's heart seemed to have become timid, and she could not help but speak in a sobbing voice. Lily just wants to use a lot of money as an exchange to beg Sumo to let Lily leave the clan. You raised the money in order to leave the clan tribe. The unexpected answer made Noah a little surprised. Noah had imagined various reasons for Lily to raise the money. However, Noah really did not think that it would be such a reason. However, if what Lily said was true, then it was possible. To put it in an extreme, everything in the god's family was basically the property of the Lord God, including the people themselves. Once they joined the clan of a god, unless the main god agreed, if they left the clan without permission, it would be a small matter if they did not get the ability value update, but it would be a big matter if they became a character on the blacklist of the clan and were hunted down by the clan. Noah had even heard that this kind of person who left the clan without permission, once their usual behavior was too easy to cause bad effects, it was very likely that even the guild would hunt them down. And this kind of person who left the clan without permission was basically impossible for the main gods of other clans to accept. The first reason was that without the consent of the Lord God of the previous spawn, there was no way for other gods to drop their divine blood into the body of a person who already had the grace of another god to renew their ability value. Firstly, it was because no one knew when this person would betray the clan tribe and leave on his own. Therefore, this kind of person would usually become a rat crossing the street. Not only would everyone want to beat them up, they could only live on the streets, and no one would be willing to take them in. It was because of this that Lily wanted to exchange for the consent of the main god by gathering things that would move his heart, right? After all, what Sumo wanted most was money. That way, he could continue with the winemaking operation that would consume a lot of money. However, there was a problem here. Why? Noah asked aloud. Why do you want to leave the clan? Although Sumo's clan had various problems, it was not enough to make people want to leave at all costs, right? Even if they were afraid of the divine wine, wouldn't it be fine if they did not taste the divine wine? Could it be that Sumo would force others to drink the divine wine? Lily trembled all over and bit her lip tightly, as if she had found an outlet to vent, and clear tears flowed from the corners of her eyes. What Lily wants has nothing to do with Master Noah. After saying this, Lily stood up before Noah could react and fled into the bushes next to her. Wait! Noah was shocked. Without hesitation, he chased after him. Chapter 9:23. Ha. In an empty alley, Lily, who was carrying a huge backpack, panted heavily as she ran forward desperately. Tears were still flowing from the corners of her eyes, but her heart was screaming madly. Lily is such a useless person anyway. She's even afraid of a glass of wine. She's useless at all. Lily hated adventurers very much. However, compared to adventurers, Lily actually hated herself more. Noah did not know that Lily did not join Sumo's clan voluntarily, but was born as a member of Sumo's clan. This was an unwritten rule that happened in almost every clan. Because it was usually not suitable for factions to be too close to each other, under normal circumstances, it was impossible for two people from different clans to get married. In the same clan, if two people who loved each other married and gave birth to a child, then the child would become a member of their parents' clan from the moment of birth. Lily was such an existence. Lily's parents were both members of Sumo's clan. In other words, Lily was obligated to become a member of Sumo's clan from the moment of her birth. From then on, Lily was destined to be an unfortunate person. This was because Lily's parents, as the grassroots members of Sumo's clan, were also captured by the magic of the divine wine, and became slaves to money. Under such circumstances, in addition to their own crazy pursuit of money, Lily's parents had been almost rude to the young Lily to earn money, and had never fulfilled their responsibilities as parents. Then, in order to pursue money, one day, Lily's parents got into the underground tower that they could not explore with their own strength, and were killed by monsters. As a result, Lily was left alone. At the same time, the death of her parents did not relieve Lily. There was no other reason. Even Lily herself unfortunately drank the divine wine when Sumo's clan planned to expand the faction, and distributed the divine wine as bait, and became a captive of the divine wine. Like the other people in Sumo's clan, after Lily was captured by the divine wine, she crazily wanted to get money. However, the young Lily did not have much ability, nor did she have the talent that an adventurer should have. Thus, she was forced to become a support. As a result, Lily was despised and looked down upon by others. Whenever Lily acted as the support of an adventurer team, those adventurers who looked down on Lily would brazenly or openly take the spoils of war for themselves, leaving the weak Lily with no way to deal with them. Even if Lily did earn some money at times, the adventurers in the same clan would also have evil intentions towards the weak and lonely Lily in order to obtain the divine wine as a prize. Just like that, Lily would either have her spoils of war swallowed by her fellow adventurers who looked down on her when she was acting as a support for a small adventurer team, or she would be oppressed by the adventurers of the same clan. Over time, Lily, who couldn't make any money, naturally couldn't get the divine wine as a prize. As time passed, the magic power of the divine wine disappeared, and everything returned to normal. But at this point, even if she wanted to regret it, it was too late. The only choice left for Lily was to continue living as a support who was despised by others. Even if she would be bullied by other adventurers of the clan, and forced to work for free. Even if she would be treated as a cash cow by some members of the same clan, and be oppressed. Lily could only continue to live like this. Therefore, Lily hated adventurers the most. Lord Noah is the same. Lily couldn't help but shout out, "That person is also an adventurer. An adventurer who only bullies Lily." Lily ran forward with all her might without any destination. She just wanted to get away from where Noah was. Only in this way could Lily erase the complicated feelings in her heart for Noah. In fact, growing up in such an environment, although it was hard, it also made Lily not become a fool. Instead, she was quite smart. In this case, how could Lily not see that Noah lowered himself to form a team with a professional support who didn't even have the talent of an adventurer? Not only that, but he also split the profits equally. That was just a way to help Lily in disguise. It was because she understood this that Lily didn't want to believe it. She didn't want to believe that in this world, there would be an adventurer who would help others unconditionally, and help a person who didn't hesitate to steal and rob. Of course, Noah had already said at the beginning that he only intended to give Lily a chance, because Lily was a person with a story. If Lily didn't seize this opportunity, then Noah wouldn't continue to meddle in other people's business. It sounds so nice, but in the end, isn't it just sympathy for Lily? Lily ran forward and got angry. Lily doesn't need the adventurer's sympathy. holding such negative emotions that were close to a dead end. Lily kept drilling into the depths of the empty alley. Just as Lily came to a corner, a foot stretched out from the side corner and blocked Lily's way. Lily, who didn't notice this, was directly tripped by that foot. She didn't even have time to react before the ground began to enlarge in front of her eyes. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lily could only tilt her body at the last moment, letting her shoulder hit the ground to lessen the impact on her body. However, it was inevitable that a burst of pain came from her shoulder, causing Lily to groan in pain. The sudden development made Lily a little unable to react, until a voice full of anger sounded. "You actually ran away? Giving up a chance to make a lot of money and running away?" Along with such an angry voice, a few figures walked out from the side alley. The leader was an orc. It was a very strong orc whose face was filled with ruthlessness. Seeing this orc, Lily's face turned pale. If Noah was here, he would definitely notice. These adventurers led by the orc were all people who were hiding in the bushes yesterday. And only Lily knew. These people were none other than a portion of the adventurers who had been squeezing him dry despite sharing the same clan as himself. "Hey Eddie." With a tone full of anger, the orc squatted down and laughed angrily. "I should have told you the day before yesterday. Since you can earn so much money by following that tyrant, then you should just keep following him. Think of ways to follow him and stick to him. That way, you'll be able to make a fortune, right?" After saying that, the orc's expression became irritable. "But Eddie, you didn't listen. Not only did you suddenly run away yesterday, but you also deliberately came so late today to make that tyrant give up on you. Now you ran away again. Didn't you just give up such a good opportunity?" Not only the orc, but also the adventurers who followed the orc stared at Lily angrily. However, this anger could be regarded as malice. After all, even if Lily continued to follow Noah and made a lot of money, in the end, the money would fall into the hands of these guys. Because of this, these guys were furious that Lily ran away from Noah. The day before yesterday, Lily and Noah came back from the underground city. After getting a good harvest, these guys who had been oppressing Lily found Lily's opportunity. As a result, the dividends that Lily got from Noah were all snatched away by these guys. And these guys also forced Lily to follow Noah and continue to make a lot of money. The next day, Lily became so abnormal in front of Noah. Yesterday, Lily said that there was a gathering in the clan, and that she needed to ask for leave, but it was a lie. Today, Lily deliberately came late, so that Noah would give up on her. Anyway, in the end, she didn't get any harvest. So instead of letting all the money fall into the hands of these people with bad intentions, Lily would rather not. "It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you really think that we won't do anything to you." The orc seemed to be angry that Lily ran away from Noah. He raised a hand, clenched it into a fist, and fiercely swung it at Lily's face. Lily was shocked and could only raise her hand to block in front of her body. Bang! When such a muffled sound was heard, a figure flew out and hit a wall not far away. Chapter 924. Bang! When the muffled sound that made people's hearts shrink shook the entire empty alley, Lily's delicate body trembled violently, but the expected pain did not come for a long time, making Lily open her eyes in surprise. Immediately afterward, Lily saw it. The orc, who was supposed to be squatting in front of her and throwing a punch at her, flew backward and hit the wall heavily. And what replaced the orc was a back figure. A back figure that was not unfamiliar to Lily. Looking at the back figure, Lily made a sound in a daze. "No, sir." It was none other than Noah. Glancing at Lily, who was slumped on the ground behind him and looking at him with a dull expression, Noah raised his eyes and looked forward. Squeak. Being swept by Noah's gaze, several adventurers of Noah's clan, who were squeezing Lily together with the orc, cried out in sorrow and began to retreat, their faces full of horror. Even the orc, who was sent flying backward and hit the wall, turned pale after seeing Noah. "Tyrant! Tyrant!" Looking at the frightened and fearful expressions of the adventurers of Noah's clan, Noah's expression began to turn cold. "It seems that it was wrong to let you leave yesterday because you did nothing." As early as these guys appeared and chased Lily into the alley, Noah discovered them. It was precisely because he discovered that these guys were chasing Lily that Noah's heart moved. He did not immediately catch up with Lily, but followed quietly behind Lily. As a result, the scene of these guys bullying Lily was completely seen by Noah. Seeing such a scene, and thinking about the situation of Sumo's clan, how could Noah not guess what had happened? At this moment, Noah also completely understood why Lily did not hesitate to steal and rob to raise money and withdraw from Sumo's clan. If all the people in Sumo's clan were crazy to such an extent that they did not hesitate to squeeze and bully their companions, then who would be willing to stay in this clan? At this moment, Noah really understood what kind of existence Sumo's clan was. It was a crazy group that was distorted because of the poor management of the Lord God. Therefore, at this moment, Noah's heart was not filled with disgust for these crazy adventurers who were captured by the divine wine in front of him, but disgust for Sumo, the god of wine. Loki had said that Sumo's godlike mind could not hold anything other than his interest in brewing wine. From the beginning, Sumo did not want to manage the clan. He only thought about how to brew wine and how to raise the cost of brewing. Loki even jokingly said, "That silly god probably doesn't even know what's going on with his own clan right now, right?" Such a sentence. This was enough to prove who caused the madness of Sumo's clan. As long as Sumo, as the Lord God of the clan, put his mind on his clan, then even if he distributed the divine wine to the members of the clan as a prize, it would not make Sumo's clan become such a group. Because a word from the Lord God, no matter which clan it was, carried the greatest weight. Sumo only needed to say, "If you want to drink the divine wine, you must make money by regular means." Then even if the adventurers in Sumo's clan were captured by the divine wine, they would not become irrational beasts. He was not even willing to give such a sentence, and allowed the members of his clan to become like this, creating a distorted clan. Sumo's irresponsibility was the main culprit. When he thought of this, Noah's disgust for Sumo rose to the extreme, and the words he spat out became dangerous. "I'm in a very bad mood right now. If you don't want to die, then scram." Hearing this, every adventurer of Sumo's clan present, including the orc, had a sudden change in expression. A look of fear appeared in their eyes and faces. No one doubted Noah's words. This was because Noah's words carried a sense of danger that made people's hearts tremble. No one doubted that Noah had that ability. This was because the fact that Noah had single-handedly destroyed the entire family of Apollo was known to everyone in Eulalia. At that moment, the few adventurers of Noah's clan, who were still intact, screamed and fled in the opposite direction of Noah, as if their lives depended on it. Wait for me." The beast man that had been sent flying by Noah's kick was rolling and crawling on the ground in a sorry state. He was on all fours, and in the blink of an eye, he was nowhere to be seen. The entire alleyway became silent. Noah turned around and cast his gaze on Lily, who was still sitting on the ground and looking at him blankly, and fell silent. After learning about Lily's situation, Noah realized that the girl in front of him might not be doing well than he had imagined. His self-righteous help to Lily not only did not make the girl's situation better, but also caused her to be targeted by those with bad intentions, which led to all of this. Just as Noah fell into silence because of his improper consideration, Lily lowered her head and squeezed out a sentence with difficulty. "Why?" Her voice was very soft. However, in the empty alley it seemed so clear. Noah could only laugh bitterly. "You seem to be asking why all the time. Why did Lord Noah come?" Lily ignored Noah's bitter smile. Her pitifully thin shoulders trembled as she asked in a hoarse voice. "Undoubtedly Lily doesn't need Lord Noah's help." "Really?" Noah interrupted Lily directly. "You really don't need help?" "Of course," Lily said mockingly, but her voice was worse than crying. "Lily has never needed anyone's help. Even without anyone's help, Lily can still survive. Lily has always survived in this way." "That's right. You relied on your own strength to survive." Noah's indifferent voice pierced Lily's heart. "That's why you have to live so hard." Lily opened her mouth as if she wanted to refute, but she couldn't even squeeze out a word. She could only sit there paralyzed. She raised her head and looked at the dusky sky. Her eyes were unusually empty. As expected, It's better for Lily to die. Why? Do you really want to die? Noah's gaze towards Lily became calm. I won't stop you, if that's really your wish. After saying that, Noah raised his feet, brushed past Lily's side, and walked behind Lily. But before that, tell me, where is the base camp of Sumo's clan? Base camp. Lily's empty eyes were filled with some color. She turned her head and looked at Noah standing behind her. What do you want to do? Nothing. Noah looked into the distance as if he could see something and sneered. I just want to see how stupid the god of fools that Loki talked about is. In a corner of Eulalie, there was a tower-like building. The building was somewhat similar to the structure of the Sword Mountain-like base camp of Loki's clan. However, in terms of scale, it was far less magnificent than Loki's clan, but it was still quite large. Under Lily's lead, Noah came to the gate of the building, raised his head, looked at the top of the building, and spoke without looking back. Is this the place? Yes. Lily's voice sounded a little confused. What exactly is Master Noah planning to do? Do you want to know? Noah suddenly smiled. Then open your eyes wide and take a good look. After saying that, Noah stretched out his hand toward the gate in front of him. Buzz. A dazzling magic array suddenly appeared in front of Noah's palm, and it lit up abruptly. In the next moment, a beam of magic power burst out from the gorgeous magic array and, under Lily's shocked gaze, landed on the gate ahead. Boom. Accompanied by an explosion, the gate of the tower-like building was directly blown up by the magical beam, setting off flames and rising into the sky. Chapter 925. What's wrong? What happened? Is it on fire? Quick. Let's go and see. The door of the building that was violently smashed by the magic beam did seem to be on fire, setting off layers of flames, causing a burst of panic and uncontrollable commotion inside the building. And the initiator, Noah, just retracted the gorgeous magic circle in front of his palm. His face reflected by the flames was like an ancient well without ripples. Lily was completely dumbfounded as she watched the scene unfold. After regaining her senses, she yelled at Noah with a shocked expression. Sir Noah? What the hell are you doing? What's wrong? Noah responded indifferently. Don't you hate this clan tribe? Are you still distressed? Lily is not distressed. I'm surprised. Lily said loudly with a face full of anxiety. Could it be that Lord Noah wants to start a war between the Spawn tribes? Aren't you afraid of being banned by the guild? Because as long as one could join the clan tribe, no matter who it was, they could obtain the power called grace. In Eulalie, there were often many adventurers who didn't care about the law. These adventurers who were unscrupulous because they had power naturally brought uneasiness to the ordinary residents, which naturally couldn't be ignored. In order to let the ordinary citizens of Eulalie live in peace, the guild also formulated relevant laws and regulations. Once they were on the guild's list of dangerous people because of certain incidents, according to the punishment, these dangerous people were likely to be disqualified as adventurers and could no longer enter or leave the dungeon. Even the guild would contact the clan tribe and let the clan tribe, Lord God, kick these dangerous people out of the faction. If it was too much, there was a possibility that they would be imprisoned and punished. Although the clan tribe, with a certain amount of power, would certainly be able to more or less ignore a part of the punishment. For example, Apollo's clan tribe directly kidnapped Baal. Even if they would be warned by the guild, they would certainly be able to avoid punishment under the condition of paying a certain price. But that was only under the condition that the behavior was not too excessive. There would be room for maneuver. When it was time for the guild to take action, they would still use actions to warn others. Otherwise, the citizens of Eulalie would not be able to live here. Therefore, criminal acts would still be banned. Noah had directly destroyed the gate of a clan tribe base camp. This was not a big deal. Even if the people of Noah's clan tribe reported Noah to the guild, the most Noah could do was compensate for the loss of the gate. However, that was only if Noah really intended to destroy the door of someone else's house. Lily didn't think that Noah would make such a big move just to destroy a door. Perhaps, in the end, it really might evolve into a struggle between the clan tribe and the clan tribe. At that time, things would really get out of hand. Noah's expression didn't change at all as he spoke to Lily. You just need to watch quietly. While they were talking, the sound of panicked footsteps could be heard from the inside of the burning door. It didn't take long for a group of people to put out the fire and notice Noah and Lily standing outside the gate. They all rushed out and surrounded Noah and Lily. In the eyes of these people, Noah saw a kind of looming madness. It was a symbol of being captured by the divine wine. In such a group of people, the eyes of the man in the lead did not have that kind of symbol, and he looked quite sober. However, in the eyes of this person, Noah saw a stronger evil aura. Seeing the person in the lead, Lily could not help but whisper, Sanis Rustra. Noah had also heard this name from Loki. Sanis Rustra, the leader of Sumo's clan tribe. His level was only LV2, but he was the person with the most authority in the entire clan tribe. That was because Sumo, as the Lord God, did not care about the affairs of the clan tribe, and only focused on brewing wine. He left all the affairs of the entire clan tribe to Sanis. In other words, the person in front of him was the leader of the crazy group called Sumo's clan tribe. According to Loki as the leader, Sanis not only did not correct the distorted form inside the clan tribe, but also indulged and even promoted it. If Sumo's irresponsibility was the primary reason for the distortion of the entire Sumo's clan tribe, then Sanis' indulgence and promotion accelerated the distortion of the Sumo's clan tribe. The reason why this clan tribe appeared was definitely due to Sanis' contribution. On the other side, Sanis also noticed Lily's existence and raised his eyebrows. When he saw Noah, his pupils shrank again. Is it that tyrant? Why is he here? With such doubts in his heart, Sanis did not hesitate. He took a step forward and shouted at Noah from a distance. Are you the ones who destroyed the gate of our clan tribe? In one sentence, he cast aside Lily, who was also a member of the clan tribe, and directly put her in the same position as Noah. This approach made Lily's disheartened heart toward Sumo's clan tribe once again surge with a sense of disgust. Noah glanced around at everyone, and then looked at Sanis. I want to see Sumo. His unceremonious words made the faces of the people around him stiffen. Only Sanis glanced at Noah first, then at Lily and grinned. I'm sorry, God Sumo never sees outsiders. Even if you want to see God Sumo will not agree. Please go back. Hearing this, Noah smiled. I didn't say that I needed to get permission to go in. With such a sentence, Noah directly took Lily's hand, who was at a loss, and walked in the direction of the Sumo's clan tribe headquarters. Stop! Sanis pulled out the weapon at his waist and pointed it at Noah. If you continue to move forward, we will treat you as enemies who intend to invade our clan tribe, and report it to the guild. Hearing this, Noah stopped and turned his gaze to Sanis. Just when Noah cast his gaze on Sanis, the arrogant expression on Sanis' face froze. At this moment, Sanis really felt that he was being stared at by an extremely dangerous beast, and he began to feel a chill in his heart. This feeling made Sanis take a step back involuntarily. As Sanis' expression changed abruptly, Noah said faintly, in other words, you intend to start a battle between clan tribe and clan tribe here, right? We are just defending ourselves. Sanis said stubbornly. You are the ones who intend to break into our headquarters. That's where you're wrong. Noah glanced at Sanis. I just want to negotiate with your Lord God Sumo regarding the matter of Liluka Eti. Huh. Lily was stunned. Lily Luka Eti? Sanis finally looked Lily in the eye. His eyes were murderous. Eti, what the hell are you doing? Lily suddenly fell into a state of confusion. Without giving Lily time to react, Noah spoke directly. I have already said the reason. If you stop me again, then I can only try to break in like you said. Having said that, Noah looked at Sanis with an intriguing gaze. Or, do you really intend to be enemies with me? Sanis' expression stiffened. Enemies? Enemies with the tyrant, who single-handedly destroyed the entire clan tribe of Apollo? Only a fool would do that. I see. I will take you to see God Sumo, Sanis suddenly sneered. However, our Lord God is not the kind of guy who will receive guests politely. Eti, you should know this best, right? Lily's face darkened as well. Only Noah had a thoughtful look in his eyes. On the top floor of the tower-like building, there was a private room. The interior of the room was furnished with a huge cabinet that was big enough to cover a wall. There were many seedlings of plants and transparent wine bottles inside. Other than that, there were only some normal furnishings in the room. In this room, there was a young Adonis who looked a little thin and tall, wearing loose clothes similar to a robe. Seeing this young Adonis, Lily could not help but feel nervous, which made Noah narrow his eyes. He was Suemo. Chapter 9:26. In the depths of the room with a spacious balcony, the god named Sumo was sitting at a work table, shaking the liquid in a transparent bottle, and slowly pouring several different colored liquids from other bottles into it. As Suemo moved, the liquid in the bottle began to emit a charming wine fragrance. The aroma of the wine made Sanny's expression ease up, but it also made Lily's face turn pale bit by bit. There was no doubt that Suemo was making divine wine. Although it was not finished yet, the smell of the wine was enough to intoxicate the average person. However, while making the divine wine, Suemo did not pay attention to anything else at all. Whether it was Noah, Lily, and the others who came in from outside, or the explosion at the door, Suemo did not show any concern. He just mixed the ingredients for the wine there. Faced with Sumo's attitude, Noah felt a little angry. If Suemo was so focused that he could not care about anything else, then it would be fine. At least, that would mean that Suemo did not know what was going on around him. However, Suemo had obviously noticed the arrival of Noah and the others. In the end, this god just stood there with a look of indifference. In other words, Suemo was ignoring Noah and the others, and it was not that he did not notice the arrival of Noah and the others. Lily seemed to have expected this situation, and she bit her lip with her pearly white teeth. Sanny's, like Lily, was not surprised by Sumo's cold attitude at all, and even showed some contempt in his eyes. This person was actually looking down on his Lord God. Under such circumstances, Sonys glanced at Noah and sneered. He took a step forward and said, "Don't worry. God Suemo, there is a guest here who seems to be planning to negotiate with you about some matters regarding your subordinate, Leluka Eti." As soon as Sanny's voice fell, Sumo's movements slowed down a little, but he did not stop and threw out such a sentence. "I'll leave it to you." From Sumo's words, Noah did not hear any part of trust. Obviously, Suemo said this not because he trusted Sanny's and intended to leave the matter to Sanny's, but because he was pushing the matter away. As for who was to blame, Suemo did not care. "Did you all hear that?" Sanny shrugged as if he had no other choice and sneered. "Suemo has left everything to me. If there's anything, you can talk to me." Lily let out a self-tormenting laugh and tightened her grip on Noah's hand. "That's right, Lord Noah. If you have anything to discuss with Sumo's family, it's useless to talk to Suemo. Suemo has handed over all matters, big and small, to Lord Sonys. You can only talk to Lord Sonys. Talk to him." Noah turned around and looked at Sonys. As soon as he met Noah's eyes, Sanny's felt as if he was being stared at by a dangerous beast, causing his expression to become unnatural. Seeing this, Noah could not help but laugh. He raised his head, looked at Suemo, and threw out such a sentence lightly. "Are you really a god?" The movements of Sumo's hands suddenly stopped. Not to mention Suemo, even Lily and Sonys were shocked by Noah's lack of respect. And instead, his words were full of sarcasm. "Although I can't say that every god I've seen is a good person, almost all of them have a strong sense of self, making people clearly realize that they are indeed transcendental existences that are different from us." Noah looked straight at Suemo. "But in you, I don't see any sense of self, and even your sense of existence is pitifully indifferent. So, are you really a god?" Lord Noah?" Lily was a little frightened. "Now there's nothing to talk about." Sonys smiled insidiously. Being denied by Noah so bluntly, no matter what Noah's purpose was, disrespect to a god was enough to cause Suemo to feel disgusted and break up the conversation. And that was what Sonys wanted to see. For Noah, who was obviously on Lily's side, Sonys did not think that he would come up with anything interesting. At least for Sonys, it was definitely not something interesting. However, Noah's words did make Suemo react. Suemo raised his head slowly. Only then did Noah realize that Suemo had extremely long bangs that covered his eyes tightly. However, Noah also clearly felt Suemo's gaze. Immediately after, Suemo squeezed out this sentence. "What's the point of listening to children like you who are easily indulging in wine?" Hearing those words that lacked any inflection, Lily was speechless and froze on the spot. Even Noah completely understood Suemo's inner thoughts with this sentence. Suemo was disappointed. He was disappointed in the members of his faction, and he was also disappointed in the people of the lower realm. The reason for the distortion of Suemo's clan was undoubtedly because of the divine wine. Suemo took out the divine wine mainly because he wanted to use the divine wine as a reward to increase the motivation of the faction members. As a result, the children under Suemo's command were captured by the magic of the divine wine one by one, indulging in the pleasure brought by the divine wine. Suemo must have witnessed all kinds of ugly fighting behaviors of the children in the clan for a period of time in order to get the divine wine, right? Seeing such a scene, Suemo could not help but feel disappointed. Suemo did not mean any harm. No matter what, at least this Prince Charming did not deliberately use the divine wine to make the children in the clan go crazy in order to obtain funds, because his interest in brewing wine required a lot of financial support, so that he could earn money by any means. After Suemo was disappointed, he completely gave up on the people of the lower realm, no longer had any interest in them, and no longer cared about them. However, it was this look of extreme disappointment in the children that made Noah's heart burst with anger. Without any hesitation, Noah stepped forward and grabbed Suemo's collar. Suemo was caught off guard and lifted him up fiercely. "Lord Noah!" Lily turned pale with fright and was thrown into a panic. "You! What are you doing?" Saniz's expression also changed greatly, but he did not intend to step forward. There was only fear in his eyes when he looked at Noah, and he did not show any concern for the safety of his Lord God. Noah ignored Lily and Saniz's shocked look and held Suemo's collar. Looking at Suemo's bewildered look, he spoke in a deep voice. "What right do you have to be disappointed in your own children? Do you think that your clan members sank into the divine wine because their will was not strong enough? Do you think that you have no reason at all?" The three questions in a row made Suemo confused. Indeed, compared to you gods, many of the people in the lower realm are insignificant. Their wills are not firm either. Just a little bit of temptation is enough to make them fall. But it is precisely because of this that people need gods. They are praying for the gods' guidance, hoping that the gods will save them from the abyss of depravity. Noah said coldly, "And you from the beginning to the end, have never thought of guiding your own children. You have never played the role of a god. In this way, your children have fallen and fallen. Who can you blame? What right do you have to be disappointed in those children who have lost the guidance of God?" Suemo's expression finally changed a little, and his eyes, hidden deep under his bangs, also wavered. "I won't deny your attitude, because some people really can't stand the slightest temptation. Their current depravity is only drawing out the dark side of their hearts. However, I dare not compliment your irresponsible and self-righteous behavior." Noah snorted coldly. "There are good deities and evil deities. There are good people and evil people. You can be disappointed in those evil people. However, you don't extend a helping hand to those who could be good. Therefore, you are not qualified to be disappointed in them." "That's right," Zhang Tai said. After leaving these words, Noah unceremoniously shook off Suemo's collar, causing Suemo to fall to the ground. He stared blankly at Noah, unable to react for a long time. Come to think of it, no one had ever said this to Suemo before, right? Therefore, Suemo had never realized that his indifference was the reason for the distortion of the clan. Right? Then, what Noah needed to do was to scold this dull god awake, right? Chapter 927. As Noah's voice fell, Suemo's room fell into a state of unbearable dead silence. Lily looked at Suemo, who had fallen to the ground, with a complicated expression on her face. Saniz looked at Noah in horror, as if he still could not believe that Noah would treat a god like this. Suemo, on the other hand, was at a loss as he murmured, "It's all my fault." You've never thought that the problem lies with you, have you? Noah looked down at Sumo, who was at a loss, and the anger in his heart gradually turned into a trace of pity and sympathy. No matter what, you're still a god. If you can't even see this level of problem, then I advise you to go back to the heavens. The lower realm is really not suitable for you. Sumo fell silent. Forget it. After venting all the anger in his heart, Noah no longer beat around the bush and directly stated the purpose of his trip. I'm here just to ask you to release a member of your group. Of course, I'll pay the refund fee. Noah's words finally made the two gods present react. Lily clenched her fists tightly, and her palms began to sweat, but her eyes were full of strong expectation and pleading as she looked at Sumo. Sani's expression changed, and he screamed in his heart. Sanis was actually a very insidious person who was extremely loyal to his desires. Not only did this guy privately resell the divine wine brewed by Sumo for money, but he also had an extreme desire for money and women. Including tasting delicious food, Sanis greedily enjoyed all the pleasures in this world that could satisfy his physical desires. Therefore, Sanis liked Sumo's clan very much. That was because in this clan tribe, not only did Sangis cover the sky with one hand, but no matter how many bad things he was involved in, Sumo, as the Lord God, would turn a blind eye and let Sangis do whatever he wanted, lawless to the extreme. It was also because of this that Sanis expressed his respect for God incisively and vividly, but in his heart, he did not take Sumo seriously at all. Therefore, in addition to Sumo's indifference to the operation of the clan, Sanis, as the leader, was also a very important reason why Sumo's clan had deteriorated to this point. However, if Sumo began to have independent thoughts about the clan tribe, it would definitely be the worst situation for Sanis. In that case, it was very likely that Sumo would take out all the things that Sangis had done in private and settle them all. Because of this, Sanis absolutely could not let Sumo free himself from the state of indifference to the clan tribe. He could not let Sumo ask questions about the members of the clan tribe. Immediately, Sunny stood up anxiously. God Sumo, please leave this matter to me. I will definitely take care of it. Hearing this, Sumo turned his head and looked at Sanis. Seeing that his overgod was looking at him, Sanis had an ominous premonition. It was impossible for Sumo not to know what kind of person Sanis was. The reason why he had always allowed Sanis, a person with an ugly heart, to run amok in the clan tribe, was not because Sumo did not know what kind of person Sanis was, but because he was disappointed in the children of the lower realm, and did not care about the character of the people who managed the clan tribe. Now, with Noah's words, although Sumo could not be said to have come to his senses, he finally looked at the problem in front of him head-on. In this way, how could Sumo, who understood Sanis' character, listen to Sanis' words? Therefore, Sumo just glanced at Sanis, and immediately cast his gaze on Lily. After a while he nodded. I understand. Sumo finally began to ask about the matters of the clan tribe. Damn it. Sanis' head heated up, and he looked at Noah fiercely and roared violently. It's all your fault. The hot-headed Sanis suddenly pulled out the one-handed sword at his waist, and rushed in Noah's direction without any hesitation. The weapon in his hand drew a cold arc, and he slashed fiercely at Noah's head. Whoosh! However, almost at the same time, a foot seemed to appear out of thin air, carrying a whistling wind, and kicked heavily on Sanis' chest. Bang! The muffled sound rang throughout the room. Sanis spat out a mouthful of blood, and his whole body flew backward like a kite with a broken string, at a faster speed than when he rushed in Noah's direction. He hit the wall heavily, his head tilted, and he fainted. Only then did Noah retract his foot. He seemed to be talking to himself as he spoke indifferently. As a LV2 high-level adventurer, this guy will not be confused by the divine wine, but his conduct and actions are uglier than those who are confused by the divine wine. With such a sentence, Noah stared at Sumo. It was you who indulged this person and let him wantonly expand the number of people who disappointed you. Sumo was speechless. The room once again returned to silence. After an unknown amount of time, Sanis was dragged out of Sumo's room by two people. Sumo personally ordered Sanis to be locked in the dungeon. The members of Sumo's clan, who clearly knew that Suemo was indifferent to the clan tribe, were extremely shocked, but they still obediently carried out the orders of the Lord God and locked Sannies in the dungeon. It was not until Sannies was dragged out of the room that Lily came in front of Suemo, turned around, and took off her robe. She pressed the clothes in front of her and rolled up the clothes on her back, revealing her back that was engraved with the word grace. It was like an inscription, engraved with the word sacred. Lily Luca RDLV. 1 Strength, I-42 Durability, I-42 Dexterity, H-143 Dexterity, G-285, Magic Power, F-317 Magic, Cinderella Transformation Magic. Transformation image changes according to imagination when chanting. Failure when lack of specificity. Suggested imitation. Chant. Your engraving belongs to me, and my engraving still belongs to me. Spell deciphering. The voice of the apocalypse at 12 o'clock. Skills. Behind the scenes bonus when the weight of the equipment exceeds a certain amount. Ability bonus is proportional to the weight. Relying on his sensitivity to language and writing, Noah now almost understood how to interpret the sacred characters, after seeing them many times. Seeing the ability value on Lily's back, Noah almost instantly interpreted the value above. Suemo directly picked up the sword that Sannies had dropped on the ground, cut a wound on his finger, and dripped the divine blood on Lily's back. The complex engraving emitted a soft blue light. Sumo's fingers gently slid on Lily's back, depicting a few specific movements. Immediately afterward, the light emitted from the engraving began to slowly fade, and even the engraving itself became faint. From this moment on, Lily's ability value was sealed. Because Suemo had transferred Lily's ownership, the divine blood no longer had an effect on the sacred characters. However, when Lily joined the clan again and obtained the divine blood of the main god of the clan, then her ability value would be awakened again. The freedom that she had been looking forward to for a long time was obtained just like that. Lily's heart was neither happy nor sad, only endless loss and complexity. This is the withdrawal fee. Noah put a money bag full of gold coins in front of Suemo. 3 million Varus, for a LV1 supporter's withdrawal fee. This should be enough, right? After saying this, Noah took Lily's hand, who was full of complicated feelings, and walked out of Sumo's room. Only Suemo was left at the scene, staring blankly at the backs of Noah and Lily as they left. After a while he murmured, "Really, is it my fault?" After walking out of the Sumo's clan base camp, Lily, who had been silent, spoke softly. "Master Noah, thank you very much. I'm just doing what I want to do." Noah looked ahead. "What are your plans next?" Lily opened her mouth, but could not say anything. Seeing the scene clearly, Noah sighed. "Then, do you want to come to my side?" Lily was stunned. Chapter 9:28. When dusk came, Noah, who had returned to the base camp of Hestia's clan, was greeted with an indescribable silence the moment he stepped through the door. In the living room, Hestia, who had been reading a book, was lying on the sofa and staring at Noah blankly. She had no reaction. Actually, to be more precise, he was looking at the little human girl beside Noah. Baal, who was preparing dinner in the kitchen, also saw the little girl standing beside Noah. He held the spatula in his hand and blinked several times. After confirming that he was not mistaken, he was also stunned. Lily, who was still carrying a huge backpack and wearing a white robe, stood beside Noah nervously. When she saw Hestia's dumbfounded expression, she bowed deeply to Hestia. Hello. Lady Hestia. I'm Lily Luca Erda. I'm here to join your clan because of your reputation. Lily's speech did not break the silence in the hall. Instead, it made the atmosphere stiffen. The stiff atmosphere made Lily, who was already a little nervous, sweat drip down her forehead. She looked uneasy. Only Noah was able to maintain his usual calmness, but he also sighed and laughed bitterly. That's what she said. Don't you think it's rude to stand there in a daze? However, this time, even though Noah said that, Hestia and Baal did not react. They were still staring blankly at Lily, and did not make a sound for a long time. When the atmosphere was so stiff that it was unbearable, Hestia murmured as if she was sleep-talking. Finally, Lily opened her eyes wide and nervously waited for Hestia to continue. Finally. Bale blinked again with a confused look on his face. Finally. Even Noah was a little confused, scratching his head in confusion. Under such circumstances, tears began to well up in Hestia's eyes. In the end, Noah was still abducted by another girl outside, and even brought that girl home. Ha! Lily was stunned. Ha! Bale was also stunned. Ha! Even Noah could not help but stand there in a daze. He was at a loss for words. At this moment, Hestia threw away the book in her hand and threw herself at Noah with tears in her eyes. No. I won't allow it. Hestia shouted. Before Noah could react, she threw herself on Noah and hugged Noah's head tightly with both hands. She even clamped her legs tightly on Noah's waist as she cried. I can't be abducted by a girl outside. Noah. All girls are vixens. They will eat Noah until there's nothing left. Only I, a pure virgin goddess, am worthy of you. Oh. Noah, who was hugged by Hestia, was completely stunned. His head was pressed in Hestia's arms, and his face was directly pressed into the goddess's breasts. Then, without even the time to feel shaken, Noah's breathing gradually became uneven. In the end he couldn't even breathe, and his face turned ashen. Even if he was a god-slayer, he still needed to breathe. Even if he was the darling of the world, Noah couldn't live without air. Therefore, under that unexpected attack, Noah's biggest crisis in history actually occurred at this time. Unable to even speak, Noah was so suffocated that his eyes rolled back, and he fell to the ground. Lord Noah! Lily exclaimed. Exalted God! Bale also reacted. He rushed out of the kitchen and paced around anxiously. Quick! Let go of the leader. He's going to die. He's going to die? Hestia seemed to have only just realized what situation Noah was in. She lowered her head and looked at Noah, who was in her arms, and her eyes widened. Instead of letting go, she anxiously hugged him tighter. Noah, you can't die. If you die, what will happen to me? Then hurry up and let go of me. Noah roared in his heart, but because of the lack of oxygen, he began to gradually become confused. Even his hands and feet became weak, and he couldn't pull away from the goddess. In the end, Noah could only faintly hear the screams of Hestia, Lily, and Bale, and then he lost consciousness. 10 minutes later, Noah, who was lying on the sofa, pressed his head and looked weak. Seeing Noah's weak appearance, Lily and Bale shuddered. They didn't expect that the tyrant, who couldn't even defeat Eulalia's ultimate weapon and single-handedly destroyed the entire Apollonian race, would almost be suffocated to death in Hestia's arms. The weapon named Goddess was simply too terrifying. Even Noah had a bitter smile on his face. I almost became the first god-slayer in history to be suffocated to death by a girl. Hestia looked at Noah with tears in her eyes. Noah, what did you just say? Nothing. Noah sighed loudly, sat up from the sofa, and looked at Hestia with an annoyed expression. I want to ask you, what's wrong with you? Who told Noah to be abducted by a vixen outside? Hestia stared at Lily and pointed at her nose. By the way, who the hell are you? Lily's body stiffened when she saw Hestia's fierce glare. She didn't know what to do. Hey, Commander. Bale sneaked up to Noah and whispered. That child is the one who stole the weapon you bought for me last time, right? Yes. Noah didn't hide anything and nodded. Well, a lot of things have happened. In short, this child isn't a bad person. Don't worry about what happened in the past. No. I don't care. Bale quickly shook his head. Commander, you bought the weapon for me. Of course you can decide what to do with it. I won't have any objections. That's good. Noah scratched his cheek and turned to Hestia, who was glaring at Lily. Hestia, don't be so hostile. A lot of things have happened to this child. She has suffered a lot in the past. If possible, I hope you can let her join our clan so that she can enjoy the good times after the suffering. Hestia immediately raised her eyebrows, but her eyes didn't move away from Lily. She stared at Lily and puffed up her cheeks. Are you really not a bad girl who wants to abduct Noah? Lily doesn't have such thoughts. Lily quickly shook her head. Lily is just an insignificant supporter. How could I possibly abduct Lord Noah? That's hard to say. Hastia's eyes were filled with doubt. I've seen many famous people fall into depravity because of a woman. Who knows if you're here to harm Noah? Oh. Lily lowered her head as if she couldn't find the words to refute. Hastia. Noah frowned and knocked on Hastia's head. She's here to seek refuge with you. How could you say such unpleasant words? But tears welled up in Hastia's eyes again. She looked at Noah with a pitiful gaze. I'm worried. Noah didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Hastia's pitiful appearance. Ever since the war game, Hastia's desire to monopolize Noah had reached a peak. She would follow Noah around at home. Even when Noah came back from outside, Hastia would make Noah tell her everything that happened that day. It was as if she didn't pay attention, Noah would run away and never come back. Noah couldn't do anything about it. Noah also knew that because almost every god outside wanted to poach him into their family clan, Hasti, who treasured Noah, had become extremely sensitive. But there was no need to be so nervous, right? In short, listen to Lily's story first, Noah said to Hastia. You can make a decision after you hear it. Chapter 929. That's it. Lily, who had confessed her past, lowered her head and didn't even dare to look at Hestia. She could only force out her words with great difficulty. Lily knows that Lily is a dirty person. If a dirty little person like Lily joins the Hestia clan, it is very likely that the reputation of the Hestia clan will be damaged, and it may also affect everyone. However, Lily will try her best to not get everyone involved. Please let Lily join the Hestia clan. The atmosphere in the hall became heavy as soon as Hestia finished her words. Your Highness, Baal said through clenched teeth as he looked at Hestia with a pleading gaze. I would also like to ask you to take in Miss Leluka. It was only natural that Baal would react this way. After all, Baal himself had been rejected by many of the clans, leading to his desperation. In the end, he was picked up by Hestia and joined her clan, so he didn't end up on the streets. Compared to Baal, Lily's situation was even worse. Therefore, if Hestia did not take Lily in, then Lily, who was a professional supporter, might end up like Baal and be rejected by all the clans. In the end, she could only end up on the streets. Baal, who didn't want to see others in the same situation as him, pleaded. It was obvious that he sympathized with Lily because they were in the same boat. However, Hestia only crossed her arms and closed her eyes as if she was deep in thought. She did not speak for a long time. Seeing this, Lily's heart became uneasy. Baal didn't dare to disturb Hestia, but his kind nature gave him the courage to do so. Your Highness, please. Before Baal could finish his sentence, Noah, who had been listening quietly, reached out his hand and pressed on Baal's shoulder. He shook his head at Baal. Hestia will make her own judgment. Just wait and see, Roland said. Baal opened his mouth, but in the end, he chose to keep quiet and obediently waited for Hestia's decision. After a while, Hestia opened her eyes and looked at Lily. I understand your situation now. I just want to ask you, after joining our clan, do you still plan to continue doing those dirty things? At this moment, Hestia's eyes seemed to be able to see through all the disguises in the world, which made Lily's heart tremble slightly. Lily knew that she was being tested by Hestia. But that was to be expected. Since Lily had such a criminal record, even if Hestia didn't blame her for what she had done in the past, if Lily continued to do that after joining Hestia's clan, it would be Hestia's fault. Hestia was different from Suemo. Although this little goddess basically did not have much ability, she would treat the children in her clan as her real family, and was willing to take on everything for her children. She was much more responsible than Suemo. If Lily continued to do things that would ruin her reputation in the future, Hestia would definitely not allow it. Just like how a parent would never allow their child to steal or rob. Now Hestia was in such a state. Under Hestia's gaze, Lily couldn't hide her feelings anymore. Because in front of God, the people of the lower realm could not lie. Once they lied, they would be seen through by God in an instant. Therefore, Lily took a deep breath and said the truest words in her heart. In fact, Lily also hates herself for being a dirty person, So Lily will not continue to do that kind of thing. The whole hall was suddenly silent. Hestia's eyes stared closely at Lily's eyes, and after a while, she said so. Then if you do it again, what should I do? That won't happen, Lily said firmly. Lily will never do that kind of thing again. The moment he finished speaking, silence spread throughout the hall once again. Both Hestia and Lily remained silent. They kept looking at each other, and didn't move their eyes away. Finally Hestia nodded. I understand. In that case, I will allow you to join my clan. Hearing this, Lily abruptly raised her head, and revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Not only Lily, but even Bale was beaming with joy. But Hestia's expression suddenly became fierce. You must not have any ideas about Noah. Lily's eyes widened at Hestia's warning. Before Lily could react, Hestia trotted to Noah's side and hugged Noah's arm. She looked down at Lily condescendingly. Noah belongs to me alone. No one can have him. Lily's face twitched. For a moment, Lily had a strong urge to change her mind. She wanted to join Hestia's clan. Exalted Goddess. Even Belle had an awkward expression on his face as he apologized to Lily. I'm sorry, Miss Lily. Lady Exalted Goddess means no harm. She just likes Leader too much. That's right. Hestia raised her head and said proudly. In this world, no one likes Noah more than I do. So no one is allowed to touch my Noah. Hestia said proudly. What she did not know was that her love did not make Leyland's heart beat faster. Instead, it made him feel very heavy. Noah could only look at Lily speechlessly. Don't worry about this guy. Since you've joined our clan, you can live here from now on. Yes. Lily agreed with a face full of joy. However, Bale suddenly raised his hand timidly. There are only 3 rooms here, right? Noah and Hestia looked at each other in dismay. Indeed, there were only 3 rooms in this house. I can sleep in the living room, Bale quickly said. There's a sofa here. It's more comfortable than a bed. I can sleep in the living room. How can that be? Lily quickly shook her head. Lily is the youngest in Hestia's family. She should be the one to sleep in the living room. That won't do. Hestia objected, but what she said was different from what she had expected. I don't feel safe letting Miss Supporter sleep in a place where I can't see her. What if she suddenly breaks into Noah's room in the middle of the night? Lily and Bale were speechless. At this time, Hestia's eyes slightly turned and lit up. Right. Just let Miss Supporter stay in my room. Noah, Bale, and Lily looked at each other when they heard Hestia's words. Indeed, this was the best way to go. Unfortunately, Hestia didn't finish her words. Let Miss Supporter sleep in my room, and I'll share a room with Noah. Hestia finally revealed her plan. This way, I can keep an eye on Noah and prevent Noah from being abducted by a vixen. Lily and Bale almost fell to the ground. Even Noah felt weak all over. Is this Lolita goddess thinking about such nonsense all day long? That's enough, Noah said helplessly as he rubbed his temples. I'll let Lily sleep in my room. What? Hestia, Lily and Bale were stunned. Then they all cried out in surprise. When Noah heard their cries, he knew that they had misunderstood. What are you thinking? Noah rolled his eyes. I'm planning to go to the dungeon depths again tomorrow, so I won't be back for a while. That's why I let Lily sleep in my room. Hearing this, Hestia, Lily, and Belle finally let out a sigh of relief. An expedition to the deeper levels of the dungeon? Hestia asked worriedly. Is there a problem? It's not the first time I'm going to the dungeon depths. Noah rubbed Hestia's head. How could there be a problem? Hestia nodded and looked at Noah. Then you have to be careful. Don't worry. Noah smiled and nodded. Lily and Bale were envious. Entering the dungeon depths? Ordinary adventurers couldn't go to the dungeon depths. When would they be able to enter the dungeon depths? Noah's thoughts started to wander. It was time to leave this world. You're tuning in to the Lee May's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.